At Tron, cut here. Let's see what we're going to look at today. A lot's happened over the weekend, guys. A lot's happened over the weekend. But I guess first, we should... Here, let's do this one. So, I just failed spectacularly. I failed upwards in the most spectacular way conceivable, okay? I went from applying for a tutoring position to getting a manager's position at a tutoring facility. So, and I had to take a math test when I got there. The guy said, yeah, you're just going to need some like basic, it's just like a literacy test. He'll do like elementary school math. And then there was like shit that I saw in pre-cal. And so I think like the first page, I blasted through that shit so fast. Everything past that, dude, was rough. I mean, I was able to get it, but it was kind of rough getting there, you know? But I guess the guy had already made up his mind. I guess I got a job now. We are no longer unemployed starting tomorrow. So we're going to figure out a new streaming schedule starting around then. All right. So just prepare yourselves for that. For today, let me look at our content suggestions. Go ahead and open some stuff up here. From bum to manager, 100%, 1,000% actually. I can't believe it. Okay, let me see here. All right, we got YouTube chat moving along, grooving along. We've got 5 people watching, 4 likes. Let's get those likes up, match the number of viewers to the likes, okay? I think it's unacceptable when we have people who are watching and haven't liked yet. Hit the like button. The more people that like the stream, the more people will come through. So we're definitely going to... How's it going, Testy? How's keto going? Funny you should say that. My girlfriend tapped out, so I'm no longer on keto. I was just doing it for solidarity. It was textural issues. She couldn't handle the textures. And I said, you know what? I've been losing weight since moving anyways, so we're just gonna vibe and continue to lose weight the way that we've been losing weight, by not eating enough food. Let's see here. I recommend Glenn Breaking Points, Elon, and a Trump gunman interview. Well, I have the Breaking Points and the interview with that guy open. And I'm opening up all the things from content suggestions. I'm looking for a part-time job as a baller. You're already there, brother. You're already there. What the flab? Hey, man, I've lost like... I'm at 210 now. So I've lost like 15 pounds just since moving here over the past 2 months. I think I'm doing just fine. So, alrighty. Oh, can someone find me the screen cap of the Elon Musk tweet from yesterday? Lost, another word for starving? Well, I probably ate too much, okay? I probably ate too much. I watched this TikTok and there's this guy with huge muscles and he's like, if you want to exercise, get in your car and drive to the gym. Then go home. Don't go in, drive home. True. Oh, so you're saying transition into working out. Don't go in, immediately start pumping iron. Just go look at the place the first day, drive back home. Second day, walk around the gym and just kind of scope it out. Leave. Day 3, you're allowed to use the elliptical. Okay, let's see here. So, this is where we're at as a country. Can I just say something really quick? Elon Musk tweeted this out yesterday as, you know, because Donald Trump, someone tried to assassinate him again. And he tweets out, and no one is even trying to assassinate Biden or Kamala. Man, put yourself in my mind palace for a second, guys. Can we do that? Put yourself in the mind palace of Saw and Soul. Okay? Can you imagine with me for a second if any other social media like business person, not even like a CEO, but anyone who was even like moderately high, no, you know what? Conservatives would lose their mind if any employee of Facebook or Instagram or any other, or Twitter pre-Elon, if any employee had said anything like a quarter as insane as this, they would lose their mind. But on top of that, they already say that the social media people say shit like this all the time, that they're constantly advocating and pushing for the Democrats to win in subversive or explicit ways. If a Democrat or if any like social media guy did anything like this, they would lose their mind. Elon is the one that's actually doing like putting his thumb on the scale for the election. And everyone's like, oh, well, what's the deal? He's just asking a question. Brother, my brother in Christ. Snap the window. You're right. I mean, I know how to snap the windows, okay? I've known about the window snapping. Let's see here. So this is where we need to keep it. I will not touch this window for the rest of the stream. Right there. Again, if any conservatives already say that it's liberal CEOs that are doing this stuff on a regular basis, but Elon is the only one that's coming out with statements like this. Turns out that jokes are way less funny if people don't know the context and the delivery is plain text. It's not funny. We need to unite. No one has even tried to do so is the point I'm making, and no one will. How do you know that? A schizophrenic crazy man just tried to assassinate Donald Trump. A second attempt. I also got shadow banned on X. Uh-oh. Can I show it on screen, or should I just read it off stream or off screen? It's just insane that conservatives will give ultimate charity to Elon Musk, who is absolutely putting his thumbs on the scale, absolutely trying to influence the election. It's a pretty generic message. Well, that's ridiculous. Bro, you got shadow banned by the conservatives. Every accusation is just an admission of guilt. Every accusation, every time they say, oh, well, the big tech CEOs are trying to get Kamala elected. You know, they're trying to help the Democrats all the time. I haven't seen a single explicit, even implicit statement from any other CEO from a big tech corporation. I haven't seen it. Certainly not influencing it's not influencing my decision. But Elon Musk is explicitly on the side of Trump, explicitly trying to get a position in his cabinet. And all the conservatives are like, oh yeah, this is totally normal. And this is fine because it's Elon. And Elon's like a good guy because he's on our side. It's insane, dude. It's actually insane. Oh, I got a notification. So for the Trump shooter thing, we'll go deeper into it. But like, man, I saw it before his X/Twitter account got banned, I was able to review. I was able to scroll through all of the replies, all of the posts that he put on. And I don't think that he was a leftist. I also don't necessarily put him into the conservative camp. He seems like a actually schizo, like anti-authoritarian. What's the word I'm looking for? Anti-establishment type person. That's what it seems like. It doesn't seem like, just like with the other kid, although with the other kid, it came out that he is just a Republican. But this guy voted for Donald Trump in 2016. He was a Bernie bro in 2020. I don't know if we know who he voted for in 2020. And I guess this time he was going for the Democrats, but he was just like a total schizoid. Schizo, more like fanatical? No. No, not just fanatical. It was like schizo fanaticism, because he's like, one second. But yeah, it's not just fanaticism, because he was like trying to get Trump to call him. He was trying to get President Zelensky to call him, because he said that he had a way to completely destroy the Russians or some shit like that. Like, the dude was all over the place. I don't think that you can pin a specific ideology or anything like that to him. Like, this is unironically the guy, right? Live footage of former Trump voter turned Trump shooter Ryan Ruth choosing a political ideology.
Time to listen up, you silly liberal fruitcakes.
To be white is to be a striver, a crusader.
We should call trans women she.
Now think about if women went back to the home.
White people be like,
Shut the fuck up. Okay. Alrighty. So you guys are going to have to forgive me. I'm completely unmedicated. It's good that I have a job, because now I can, get Vyvanse again. I won't be completely useless on stream, but we'll try and get through as much as we can. I promise I am trying. Okay. I am trying my damnedest to stay on topic. Okay. It's just going to be difficult. Okay. So let's watch what this guy has to say. Trump shooter's old interview goes viral. Talking about the Ukraine war. See the last link? Oh my gosh, we got multiple. See, Moisak, as I have it about the American healthcare being tied to jobs, it's because I haven't had health insurance since I was, what's the age that you get kicked off your parents' health insurance? 24, 25? Like, it's been years since I've had health insurance. I've just been paying for appointments and paying for the medicine straight out of pocket. Okay. Damn. He didn't even know that his dad was doing it. Are we not going to hear any of the interview? Is it just text on the screen the entire time? No. He's my dad, and all he's had is a couple of traffic tickets, as far as I know. That's crazy. I know my dad and love my dad, but that's nothing like him. I'm pretty sure people with ADHD who are unmedicated score lower on almost every test. Oh, yeah. No, the entire time that I was taking that math test earlier today, I was just thinking, man, I would kill for some Vyvanse right now. So it would be less embarrassing not to like, I would at least be able to find a way around, even if I don't know the specific way to get to this answer. I would at least have a way to arrive at the correct answer, but he said he was at the beach, but I thought that meant the Outer Banks in Hawaii. I didn't ask him for more information because we've had a falling out. We've grown apart. He said his father moved to Ukraine in 2022 following Russia's invasion of Ukraine to help volunteer. Jesus. He's not a violent person. He's a hard worker and a great dad. He's a great dude, a nice guy, and has worked his whole effing life. The video above is the interview. Yeah, we're going to see what this is. Orrin then abruptly hung up on the Daily Mail before sending a long-winded text claiming to hate presidential elections. I hate this game every 4 years and think that we all do, and if my father wants to be a martyr to how broken and disassociated the process has become from the real problems and practical solutions, then that's his choice. I mean, you should probably say that it's a bad thing that he did, right? You shouldn't go around trying to assassinate people, in my opinion. I'm not saying that's what he's done or what he's about. That's just my own rant, being fed up with it all for my entire adult life. South Park said it best, every 4 years we're forced to choose between a turd sandwich and a giant douche, and it all stays in the same ways by different degrees, and we're all exhausted and embarrassed by it all. Okay, we've seen all of this.
And the latest foiled assassination attempt in the United States against Donald Trump. We're live to CNN reporter Randy Kay from Mar-a-Lago. Randy, thanks for your time. How has this been? What's the response to this latest drama in the presidential campaign?
Oh, it is a lot to take in. I mean, this is the second apparent assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump in 2 months' time here in the U.S. So certainly a lot for his supporters to take in, a lot for his campaign to figure out. They have upped security for the former president even after the last assassination attempt, and this time that certainly came in handy because as they were making their way through the golf course, Trump International Golf Club, where he was playing golf, sometime between the 5th and 6th hole, the Secret Service were walking ahead of him, one hole ahead of him, and they noticed a barrel of a rifle poking through the fence, and that's when they engaged in gunfire with this person who has now been detained.
So this guy, I guess he didn't have enough money to get plate carriers, right? And if you don't know, like body armor, like bulletproof armor, has ceramic plates in it, right? It's made of ceramic, like your toilet, right? And he just had a bunch of ceramic tiles in backpacks to use as armor, which I didn't know. Not all, but yeah, obviously some of it's Kevlar, some of it's ceramic, but I'm talking about like, it's one type of body armor, okay? And he got ceramic tiles. And I thought, man, that sounds dumb as hell. Why would you get ceramic tiles? It's probably not the same thing. But then I see a bunch of gun nuts on Twitter saying, man, this guy really thought this through. Like, it's obviously not as good as a plate carrier, but like ceramic tiles, like he probably could have achieved the same thing with a bunch of phone books, but like, man, Jesus, you can't use kitchen tiles. Well, that's what the gun people, I mean, I can't say for sure, cause I'm not in that world. All right. I'm not part of that world. So I was taking their word on it. If it's something that you can do, that's crazy.
Tell you that his name is Ryan Wesley Routh. He's 58 years old. He lived in Hawaii. He was in a car that belonged to his daughter, apparently, according to sources telling CNN. So that is what we know about him.
Dude, you know his daughter's pissed as hell. Oh, his daughter's pissed as hell.
He was taken into custody. He was calm, we are told, by law enforcement. And we also know that he was not displaying any emotion. That's a direct quote from the sheriff. So they did make chase, and then they found at the location on the golf course where he fled from, they found 2 backpacks, a GoPro, and an AK-47 style rifle. So back to your original question, Kieran, it is certainly a lot for this campaign to process. And certainly the former president, he remained here for hours. They made sure that it was safe before they took him to Mar-a-Lago, which is his home here in Palm Beach County, Florida. And that is where he apparently remains tonight. He does say that he is doing well and is stronger than ever. Kieran?
Yes, Randy Kay, they're live from Mar-a-Lago. Thanks for the update. Appreciate it.
All right. And this is the interview with him. Yeah, no, if you... Trump International Golf Club. I was watching Agenda Free News, and I guess you can look at this place on maps. Let's see if we can find the intersection that he was at. Let's see here. Oh man, that's long. Let's see. Just go all the way along it. See if we can find... Wait, where the f is this? Oh, it's nearby. Okay, Jesus. I thought it was in Florida. Wait. No. Hold on. This is the Washington, D.C. 1 second. There's got to be one down in Florida, right? Wait. 1 second. International Golf Club. Maps. International Golf Club. Not National Golf Club. There we go. That's what we're looking for. Ironically, right there is Gun Club Road. All right. So they were talking... So it was South Congress... I think, and if we do, how do you change the, oh, right there. Yeah, I think this is the spot. So he was like up in the bushes over here. Somewhere around here. So yeah, he was hiding in the bushes somewhere around here. And they saw a gun poking through the fence and they just started blasting at him. My understanding is he didn't even get a shot off. But he was like 300 to 500 yards away.
And we'll stand up to crazy Nancy Pelosi who ruined San Francisco. How's her husband doing, by the way? Anybody know? And she's against building a wall at our border, even though she has a wall around her house, which obviously didn't do a very good job.
Man, not great. Okay, let's watch the interview here.
So I live in Hawaii now, so flew all the way from Hawaii here. To me, you know, a lot of the other conflicts are gray, but this conflict is definitely black and white. This is about good versus evil.
What are you doing here in Ukraine?
My initial goal was to come fight. I think, you know, everybody around the globe should be motivated to come here and support the Ukrainians and support the army. So plan B was to come here to Kyiv and promote getting more people here. You know, we need thousands and thousands and thousands of people here fighting with the Ukrainians.
So you are working with the International Legion?
Yes.
And you are trying to convince people to help, to donate, and to join?
Yeah.
Keep in mind, all right, that I saw this because of that guy that we had on stream last week or the week before. Oh, no, wrong one. Oh, my God, this guy tweets too much. There it is. June 21st. Okay, hold on. I got to answer this call. All right, sorry about that. All right, so Plainfay, I almost said his very inappropriate name, but our friend that we talked to last week shared this. Warning about Ryan Routh. He is not and has never been associated with the International Legion or the Ukrainian Armed Forces at all. He is not and has never been a Legion recruiter. He is misrepresenting himself and lying to many people. This was June 21st of this year. So like everybody, even before this was like, it seems like his son disowned him. It seems like they're disowning him. They don't want anything to do with him. Like, again, we can talk about who's to blame for all these assassination attempts. We can talk blah, 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 blah. Like, I think it's very silly the way that those conversations are going. However, when it comes to like what this guy's ideology is, even though he voted for Trump in 2016, like I might throw that out just because most conservatives don't actually read the news and we can get past certain parts in a conversation just by stating discrete facts from a news story. But yeah, like the idea that we can pin him to a specific ideology besides anti-establishment and like pro-freedom, I guess. That's what I got from reading his Twitter yesterday before it got banned. Again, he was trying to get, you know, world leaders to call him on his cell phone. He was trying to set up meetings with people like Tulsi Gabbard, set up meetings with people like Donald Trump, like Volodymyr Zelensky. This guy is not mentally well, okay? Obviously, if you're going to go out and you're going to try and assassinate someone, you're probably not mentally well, right? But this guy, probably a very good example of someone who is just kind of schizo, you know?
Please tell me who you are and why are you here?
I'm 56 from the U.S., from North Carolina originally, so I live in Hawaii now, so flew all the way from Hawaii here. So the question as far as why I'm here, to me, you know, a lot of the other conflicts are gray, but this conflict is definitely black and white. This is about good versus evil. This is a storybook. You know, any movie we've ever watched, this is definitely evil against good. I mean, we're battling a situation here where, you know, the Ukrainians and the rest of the world are caring and kind and generous and unselfish and take care of one another. And it's just a matter of, you know, we need to stand up for that. That is the most important thing in the world, is just to show human beings that we're kind and we're caring and that we take care of one another and that the world is united so that we feed each other and make sure that, you know, we all move forward as one collective whole unit. So, you know, we feel the pain of one country's failure and their conflicts, and we enjoy the successes of other countries that are doing good, and we all work together. And for some reason, Russia does not grasp this concept that we're all one unit, and we have to get along and work together and be normal human beings. This is 2022. We have to work together. It seems asinine that we have a leader in a country that does not understand the concept of being unselfish and being generous and being kind and just the basic moral values that are required by human beings these days. It blows my mind.
And what are you doing here in Ukraine?
My initial goal was to come fight. I think everybody around the globe should be motivated to come here and support the Ukrainians and support the army, no matter what gender, age, anything. Everybody should be here supporting the army. But I'm 56, so initially they're like, well, I have no military experience, so they're like, you're not an ideal candidate. So they said, not right. So plan B was to come here to Kyiv and promote getting more people here. We need thousands and thousands and thousands of people here fighting with the Ukrainians. We need we've got 190 countries around the world, and we need thousands from all of them. If the governments will not send their official military, then we civilians have to pick up the torch and make this thing happen. And we've gotten some wonderful people here, but it's a small fraction of the number that should be here. If we have 5,000, to 10,000 people here fighting, that is just a minuscule amount of the 5 billion people on the globe. We need everyone here fighting. That's why I'm in Kyiv. So every project that I promote is about getting people here to support the Ukrainians. We were at a critical juncture in this war where we were sitting on the fence as far as whether good or evil is going to win. Right now we're looking at a situation where the world is waning and it's thinking that this is important or not. And we're at a point where, all right, are we going to stand for humanity, for human rights, for everything that is good with the world? Or are we just going to ignore it? If everybody's complacent and doesn't join this fight, then guess who's going to win? It might take 10 years, but we're going to lose this battle if everyone around the globe does not stop what they're doing and get off the couch and come to Ukraine and defend the human rights of everyone around the globe. This is the most important thing going on in the world today. So sitting around and letting life go on as normal and complaining about gas prices and complaining about, your luxury life in whatever country you live in is unacceptable. As human beings, we must support each other. We cannot turn our backs on anyone around the world and expect the problem to go away. So I've been dealing with Russia for my entire life. We had one period where it was okay, but now we've let it slip back into terrorism. So it's just the world needs to respond.
What does he mean? What does he mean? He's been working. He's been dealing with Russia for his entire life. He sounds very coherent. When I say schizo, I don't mean that he's like literally schizophrenic, right? I use schizo to describe all sorts of, maladjusted, mental conditions. Just because I'm not a psychologist, I don't know what, I can't diagnose this guy. But it doesn't seem like it doesn't seem like you can throw him into a single camp except for like anti-establishment. It seems like
my entire life, we had one period where it was okay, but now we've let it slip back into terrorism. So it's just the world needs to respond. Why world leaders are not sending military is beyond me. We're going to have to elect new leaders the next go around that have a backbone and that have the fortitude to say, hey, we're not going to tolerate this type of behavior. This type of behavior is unacceptable anywhere, any place. So it's totally unacceptable. And why people are not responding, I do not know.
What impressed you the most since you are here?
My trip to Irpin was pretty emotional. So, going and seeing the buildings that were burned and destroyed and things of that nature. I think more emotional for me is just talking to the guys that have come here. When you talk to a 20-year-old guy that sold everything he owns to come here to fight, that is heroism. He's come here to risk his life for humanity, for the Ukrainians. Guys that sell everything they own to come here and support the Ukrainians while others.
I'll say this. Just because someone is brave doesn't mean it's obviously brave to sell all of your belongings and then go to a foreign country to fight for someone else's rights, right? That's courageous. Might seem callous, but I think it's real stupid. I'm not gonna lie. Even though I'm very much pro-Ukraine, even though, all of that, when I look at Dylan Burns, right? Dylan Burns is another streamer who has gone to Ukraine to document the war over there. And he does a lot of great stuff. And I think it's really cool, right? I think it's less stupid what Dylan Burns is doing, but the danger to your own life is so great. Maybe it's just because I'm old and I have more of a concept of death, or maybe I just fear the concept of death more than these people. But I can't imagine putting myself in a position where I'm going and I'm fighting on the front lines for something that isn't going to, directly impact you know, me or my loved ones. Like if there was people, you know, invading my country, right? If there was someone invading my country, dude, I'm out there, I'm digging trenches, I'm piloting drones, right? You know, I'll slog it out in the trenches if someone's invading my country. But like, man, I can't imagine going to another country and like signing up to be a mercenary, essentially. You know, like you have to have basically nothing to live for at that point, you know? I think it's because you're young. No, I think it's the opposite. I think it's because I'm a little bit older and I have a concept of death, right? But maybe it's because I'm young. I don't know. One or the other. I just can't imagine. I can't imagine putting my life on the line for other people when it's not going to, when they're like people that live on the other side of the globe. And I'm in support of Ukraine. We should be giving them tons of weapons. We should be using our, you know, our military might from our country, even like up to and including boots on the ground, depending on the situation. But like, just like volunteering and going to another country, like that's insane to me.
Sit at home and do nothing. You know, it's totally mind-blowing how we have this divide of people that are selfless and courageous and wonderful and willing to sell everything they own to come here and support, you know, keep people from getting killed, to shelter kids and protect Ukrainians, and others that just, you know, want to sit at home and not. It's just, you know, it's an indictment of our entire human society to say, hey, you know, where do we stand? Do we stand for good, or do we just not care? I mean, does the world not care? That's the feeling I wrestle with every day in my interactions with everybody. You know, every one of us is responsible for the outcome of this war. Every one of us, you know, by our actions and what we do. And, you know, when I call back home and say, hey, I need $5 so I can, you know, put enough money together to get a vest for a Ukrainian, and I get no response, I'm like, I'm not sure that the world is as wonderful as I once thought it was. I had thought that everyone would respond, you know, very generously and unselfishly, and you know, you don't have to come. But, you know, if I ask for $5 to buy a vest to save a Ukrainian life, it seems like that would be a no-brainer. But I increasingly get more disappointed in humanity. And I'm beginning to question whether or not we're going to end up on the right side of this equation.
So you are working with the International Legion.
Yes.
And you are trying to convince people to help, to donate, and to join.
Yeah.
Again, he has not and has never been associated with the International Legion or the Ukrainian Armed Forces at all. He is not and never has been a Legion recruiter. He is misrepresenting himself and lying to many people.
The final question is, what would you say to the people in order to convince them to join the International Legion, or to donate for it, or to be involved in the humanitarian aid to Ukraine?
Right. It's just extremely important, the whole thing. As far as joining the military, you know, yes, if you have some military experience or know people.
Well, here's the thing. That was posted on June 21st, 2024. Okay? That was posted in June. We're in September, dog. And if I have to explain why the temporal proximity of the post to now and explain it to you, I don't know how to help you. Temporal proximity seems to be a massive issue with people's brains. They don't understand how to figure out that things that happened before $5 words don't make you right. Those are $10 words, okay? I just got a fun campaign ad where if you donate, you will enter a drawing to meet Walls and Kamala. That's nice. That's nice. Oh, hold on. This is a whole thread. Hold on. Let's read the rest of the thread. Ruth is currently posting on Facebook about getting Afghanistan citizens into the International Legion. He told the New York Times in 2023 that he wanted to get soldiers into Ukraine illegally. How's this guy getting interviews with the New York Times and Newsweek? And Ryan Ruth has many public Facebook posts about getting soldiers into Ukraine in 2023 and 2024. He has no authority to act on behalf of Ukraine, and he ignores laws about visas. Ruth is either human trafficking, scamming people, or attempting to break as many countries' laws as he can by trying to smuggle people into Ukraine to fight. This is unethical, unprofessional, and unacceptable. Worse, he is doing this by insisting he is helping Ukraine. Other issues. Ruth has posted soldiers' phone numbers on websites without permission, given out recruiters' phone numbers to people without permission, manipulates people on breaking laws, avoid any contact with Ruth, as he misrepresents what he can legally do. I served in the International Legion for 2 years. I have told Ruth many times since 2022 that he's not helping, and what he's doing is illegally. What he's doing is illegal. He doesn't listen. He had interviews, but they probably didn't get ran. And have you addressed how he knew where Trump was? Well, I haven't gotten there yet. I don't know the answer to that question.
With military experience, encouraging them to come and fight. We have units all over the place. So, there were some leadership issues initially, but we've got so many units available to us.
Or did he say, well, according to this guy who seems to have some information about him in screen caps from Ruth, so it seems like he knows a little bit about it.
Georgian, Crimean, Ukrainian, Territorial Defense, Foreign Legion. We have, so many paramilitary groups. I put a 74-year-old Japanese guy in a unit. So, we have girls in units. So we have two girls that are in the unit up the street. So any gender, any age, any skill level to no skill level. But yeah, if you want to fight, come here and see me, and I'll put you in a unit so you can go fight. But regardless of that, we should have thousands upon thousands of people standing here with the Ukrainians. This Maiden Square, Independence Square, we should have millions of people in the square, filling the square from every country around the world. And why we don't, I don't understand. I'm here every day with all the flags from all the supporting countries, with the memorials for the people that have died. And, I've had several people come, but just a handful, So it blows my mind that I'm standing here alone without thousands of people from every country, from Asia, from Africa, from Australia, from Canada, from everywhere in South America, every place.
Europe.
Europe, everywhere. We need everybody here. If you have no skills, just come. We need to be.
Real quick, for Twitch, are you guys getting like massive buffering? Is it buffering super hard for you guys? Just want to make sure, because I keep on getting notifications that it's buffering. Yeah, see, that's what I was saying earlier. Like, I don't know, I don't know about like signing up to fight for a foreign country.
Be cheerleaders, just being here and saying, hey, I support the Ukrainians, and I support human rights, and I support good and generosity and caring and kindness and altruism. And it's just, we need to show the world that we care. And it's essential. If you don't do any work at all, just being here and supporting and showing them that we care for our fellow human beings is the most important thing we can do.
So he's talking about his credentials essentially there. Okay, so I have yep and not much, which are two of the least helpful things ever. But okay. I've lowered the bit rate, so we'll see. Yeah, exactly, Sig. True. Okay. Well, I guess let's
I want to go to reporting from our Josh Campbell, who has been talking to his sources at the FBI and is learning that as we speak, Anderson, the investigation is now going global. What authorities are trying to do is try to understand a little bit more about this man who ended up on that near that golf course, 58-year-old Ryan Wesley Routh. According to Josh's sources, they are working authorities.
Yeah, well, it would be really interesting to know how this guy knew where Trump was going to be. I find his attitude in the interview admirable. I mean, yeah, but if the way that he's going about things is absolutely unhinged, then it's buffering bad now. Let me see if I can't. You might presume he would be on his golf course. I don't know if you can automatically assume. Okay, let's see here. You think it's okay? Okay, then I'm going to stop messing with the settings. We'll leave it alone. Let me just. Okay, that's not bad. All right. There's clearly higher authorities trying to kill Trump. I don't see why it's a conspiracy to think so. That's twice now, both unhinged shooters. People are going to come out with all sorts of unhinged, crazy conspiracies that are trying to explain why people are trying to kill Trump and why it's actually like the deep state or whatever. Man, at the end of the day, here's the thing. Both of these people have voted, both of the people who tried to assassinate Trump were former Trump supporters. And if you think about the CIA, for just a second. If the CIA or the FBI wanted to assassinate someone, they're going to go and they're going to tap into either retired or off-duty special forces dudes, right? I read a thread yesterday from a former CIA guy I don't know what position he was at, but he said, like, man, we have access to ex-spec ops people. We have access to spec op people in the military. Like, if we wanted to, we would go to them. We wouldn't hire a 19-year-old fail son who has never accomplished anything in his entire life, and, you know, another, like, fail son who got rejected by the Ukraine International Legion. Now, that's too obvious. Of course it is. Of course it is. But, like, you can always say something, but you have to have proof for it. And there's, if there's ever any evidence that comes out that shows that the CIA was trying to kill Trump, then I'll 100% be on the, you know, I'll be with the Trumpers and, oh, this is horrible. The CIA is trying to kill political opposition, blah, blah, blah. But there's no evidence for it, you know? Yeah, and if it was the Secret Service or if it was the CIA, why would they allow him to get captured? Right? Why would they choose a 19-year-old who was a horrible shot, according to everyone that was interviewed? Like, they had he was in the gun club, or tried out for, like, the shooting club in high school, and he was a horrible shot. And then this guy, who is just like a random 58-year-old dude who's been rejected by everyone, it seems, including his own family. Why would they choose these people? Of all the people that they could get on their side, why would they do it in the stupidest way possible? It wouldn't make any sense for it to be a conspiracy, because they would be way better at it. The CIA and the FBI and all these deep state agencies, you can't simultaneously say that they're, like, all knowing, they know everything, they're meticulous planning, they're controlling, they're the puppet masters, you know, with the strings on their fingers, marionetting everything, and then also, like, say, oh yeah, but every single time they try to assassinate someone, they pick the worst possible hitman. Well, if that was the case, then Trump would be dead, but they do attempts and it still hasn't happened, so I don't think it's them. Because if the CIA could kill Trump with a verifiably schizo old man, then it would be the ultimate Trump meme. True.
Authorities are working to obtain search warrants on various social media accounts believed to be associated with him. Some of these images that you're looking at to your screen here, these are images that our investigative unit has been able to cull from his various social media accounts that are available online. The suspected online activity is also involving some of these platforms that are located outside of the United States. And what the FBI is also aware of are some of his online claims about foreign travel. And I want to zero in on something here, Anderson. The pictures that you're seeing come from a GoFundMe account. And on that account, Ralph claims that he went to Kyiv in 2022. He was raising money to try to support his travel that appears to be completely done on his own. On that GoFundMe website, he is encouraging others to join him. It is unofficial. He claims that he is staying with people aligned with the military, that he's donating military devices to some of the fighters in Ukraine. And our team is also gathering a little more of a background about where he comes from in the United States. We believe, according to public records searches, that he was splitting time between Hawaii and North Carolina, that in Hawaii, he was a self-employed affordable housing builder. He started in 2018 a company called Camp Box Honolulu, building some of those storage units and tiny houses, and that he had donated a structure to some homeless people. In North Carolina, though, we are getting through some of the federal campaign finance records, a donation of $100, more than $100 to Act Blue, which processes donations to Democratic campaigns. He had registered as an unaffiliated voter, that is without party affiliation, in 2012, but he had voted in the March 2024 Democratic primary. And it also shows, according to North Carolina public records, that he had a number of brushes with the law. In 2002, he had a weapon, he had been pulled over by police, and that he barricaded himself in a building. That is something that police did recently confirm after his arrest on Sunday, and that he had a number of according to public records, Anderson, that he had issues with the courts and failing to pay taxes, Anderson.
Coming off, thanks very much. More now on breaking news tomorrow. The acting Secret Service director heads to Florida. Ronald Rowe got to the top job after the director resigned in July in a hail of criticism, you may remember, after the first assassination attempt on Trump in Pennsylvania. Back now with our panel, Julia Kayam, Daniel Brunner, and Jonathan Wacker. You know, Daniel, it's interesting to see those pictures of this guy. I guess those were taken early on in Ukraine. I mean, as somebody who was in Ukraine for a couple of weeks at the start of the war in Lviv, you would see a whole bunch of folks coming there from the U.S. Some of them, you know, had legit military training in the U.S. and were there believing in the cause and wanting to help and volunteer where they could or train others. And then you'd also see just some folks who kind of washed ashore there with, you know, running from something or just seeing this as some kind of opportunity to jumpstart their life. And so I'm curious to learn more about what this person was actually doing. You know, was he one of those people who just kind of got attracted to that and went? Was he actually, you know, contributing in some way? There's certainly still a lot we don't know about this person.
there's a lot that's going to be looked at. The digital evidence that this individual left behind is clearly tremendous. And we're going to be looking at all the CCTV, all his social media, and they're going to be looking back a number of years because obviously he's had an extensive social media presence going back to before the war in Ukraine. So they're going to be looking all the way back before that. They're going to look at what his motivations were for going to Ukraine, and then was he affected in Ukraine? Did that motivation come to the United States? And then as a processing during the course of the investigation, that'll all be analyzed, that'll all be looked at, and to look for other mitigating factors that could have sent this individual down that road to to prepare for this attack and understanding what the motivation was going on as far back as pre-war Ukraine.
And Julie, the fact that he had, allegedly had a GoPro that he was going to be using to document either if he was pulling the trigger or showing downrange what happened when he pulled the trigger, and that indicates certainly a desire to broadcast, whether in real time or later, what was going to be done.
Right, that's exactly right. So we've seen it in mass shooting cases, we've seen it in terrorism cases, the performative nature of the violence. And so it's not enough just to kill or assassinate former president. It is, you've got to document it, and we don't know if he wanted to live stream it. We don't know what he was intending to do with it, but we can, I think, rationally deduce that part of it was the amplification of the violence itself. He lived very online. He was very vocal. We see all of these pictures. And so that is something that suggests to me that this was well planned out over time, and we just don't know what sort of triggered it in the last couple of weeks or months.
And Jonathan, if this was a last minute, schedule, put it on the schedule, go play golf, that also raises questions about, how he knew about it.
No, it actually does raise questions again. But when we start looking at this individual, it is not normal for someone to wake up and decide I'm going to go shoot the former president, right? The investigators right now are looking at the pathway to violence, his grievances, his violent ideations, his pre-attack planning. All of this will come out through the investigation to include how did he know that the president was going to be there on that day.
Oh, so we don't have that information yet. Okay, got you. He was looking to be, he's streaming to Twitch. Hey guys. Jesus. Chat, is this real? Kablam! All right. So we have this next. All right, real quick. I don't like shilling, but this is my life, okay? So if you guys like my content, if you like my stream, if you like me, or if you just think I'm really pretty, I'm going to go ahead and throw some links in chat super quick. Let's see here. One right there and one right there. All right. Donate right there if you guys want to help a brother out. I did finally just get a job, but it will be at least 2 weeks before I get a paycheck because that's how paychecks work. All right, I start tomorrow, but your boy still does need to eat. I've been scraping by eating ramen noodles almost every single day until I went keto, and then it was just bland chicken. So if you guys want to help a brother out, there's the Stream Elements link right there. Please do. Or if you guys want to subbing, it's September, 30% off. Every little bit helps, all right? But I guess now we're going to go on and we're going to move on. Since there's, here's the thing. When it comes to breaking news or, big news stories like this, same thing with the last assassination attempt, there's going to be some information that comes out. But everything besides what we've heard so far, he was a former attempted member of the Ukraine International Legion. He was kicked out of that crew, seemingly because he was breaking tons of laws. Let's see. His family has disowned him. He had the plate carrier or the ceramic tiles in the backpacks and a GoPro. And he had an amorphous ideology. Outside of that, we know nothing. There's not much point in ruminating or doing an hour-long segment on it unless we're watching other people's reactions to it. But in terms of just talking about the actual attempt and the guy himself, we're going to have to wait for more information to come out because there's just not a ton of information. Wait, hold on. Can you link it again, Internet Gas? Quickly. Also, if you're on Twitch, I think I have fixed the buffering issues. So if you refresh, it should catch you up. So there's less of a delay. Same thing with YouTube, but it shouldn't be as much of a problem over there because YouTube's has a bit better of a player. Okay, let me go ahead and get rid of that. Do we need... Jeez, I still can't believe that. Is this the... Oh, okay. I already had the link open. Maybe he just wanted one of those transgender surgeries in prison? Yeah, maybe The man arrested in connection with the FBI is calling an apparent attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump has a lengthy criminal record and a recent fixation on global politics, particularly Russia's war in Ukraine. The suspect, whom local officials identified as Ryan Wesley Ruth, was taken into custody on Sunday afternoon on Interstate 95 near West Palm Beach, Florida, after what authorities say was possibly, I can't speak today. No, dude, the amount of Taylor Swift memes that I saw in the immediate aftermath was unbelievable because he tweeted out earlier that day, "I hate Taylor Swift." And then, there was an assassination attempt on his life. And everyone's like, damn, Swifties move fast. Swifties move fast. Let's see here. It's not clear whether Ruth fired any shots, but the agent opened fire on him. He took off in a black Nissan, which authorities located on the highway a short while later, thanks to an eyewitness tip. Ruth has been charged with possession of a firearm as a convicted felon and possession of a firearm with an obliterated serial number. Jesus. In his first appearance in West Palm Beach federal courtroom Monday morning, Ruth, wearing a navy blue prison jumpsuit and shackles, appeared subdued, respectful, and in good spirits. He could be seen laughing at times with his federal public defender. The judge told Ruth he qualified for a federal public defender because you have little or no assets. Ruth said that he has zero funds and no savings and reported making an income of $3,000 a week, but didn't specify the source. Ooh. That's going to come out. That's going to come out. Someone's going to figure out what his income is. Ellen DeGenerate. Don't care. Yeah, $3,000 a week, but didn't specify the source. Someone's going to find out. They're going to find out where those funds were coming from. Can you imagine if he was like paid? Man, I wonder. Ruth will remain in custody until his arraignment on September 30th. Public records, social media posts, and previous interviews have painted a picture of the 58-year-old as a vocal supporter turned critic of Trump, who was passionate about defending Ukraine and its war with Russia, and even traveled to the front lines in the hopes of taking up the fight. Maybe. He has a criminal record dating back decades. Spent most of his adulthood in North Carolina before moving to Hawaii in recent years. Mechanical engineering degree in 1998. A felony charge of possessing a weapon of mass destruction. Oh, man. A December 2002 story in the Greensboro News and Record recounts an incident in which Ruth was pulled over during a traffic stop on a Sunday night. He put his hand on a firearm and drove to his roofing business, where he barricaded himself inside for 3 hours. The weapons of mass destruction charge pertain to a fully automatic machine gun, it reported. Jesus. Ruth was charged with several other misdemeanors and felonies between 2001 and 2010, including a hit-and-run offense, carrying a concealed weapon, and possessing stolen goods. He and 2 others were squatting on a property in 2019 in Hawaii when Ruth reported being assaulted by a resident whose home he was working on as a handyman. Well, I mean... It seems like North Carolina's definition of a weapon of mass destruction would include fully automatic machine guns. You're telling me there were 2 felons on that golf course? Oh, shit. Man. North Carolina voting records list Ruth as unaffiliated with any party, though they also show that he voted in person in the Democratic primary election in March of 2024. He is also listed as having voted in the general elections in 2008 and 2012 and municipal elections in 2009. Ruth has a history of donating to political causes. As Federal Election Commission records show, he donated to the Democratic fundraising platform Act Blue nearly 20 times, and amounts ranging from $1 to $25 between 2019 and 2020. Ruth appears to have voted for Trump in 2016, but became a vocal critic of the former president in recent years, according to posts on his social media accounts, which have since been taken down. CNN reports that he tweeted in 2020, "I and the world hoped that President Trump would be different and better than the candidate. But we all were greatly disappointed, and it seems you are getting worse and devolving. I will be glad when you are gone." Ruth also weighed in after Trump survived an assassination attempt at a Pennsylvania rally in July. Oh, I haven't seen this one. Urging President Biden and Vice President Harris to visit those who had been injured, as Trump will never do anything for them. That's kind of funny because Biden called them before Trump did. Biden did call the family of the dead guy before Trump did. That's insane. Normally, you would need to purchase a tax stamp to effectively register yourself as owning X weapon, which must predate the ban. Those weapons could be 30,000 plus. I guess this one was not pre-ban. Well, it could have been. It could just be black market. He could have messed with it himself. I don't know enough about it. It doesn't seem like they've. Well, maybe if we look at it more, but. Ruth also references former support for Trump in his 2023 self-published book. He has a book in which oh man, I bet you that book is a treasure trove of schizophrenia. Ruth wrote that he must take part of the blame for electing Trump as president. But I am man enough to say that I misjudged and made a terrible mistake. All right. Also, Asian Andy's sister. Who are you talking about? Asian Andy's sister had a squatter that, due to the laws the police wouldn't remove, the YouTube videos he made to get rid of her is insanely funny. I have no idea who you're talking about, dude. $2 on Kindle. Invest now. Oh my God. $2 on Kindle? Can't wait for that first paycheck. All right. We're going to have to move on from this topic. So it seems like the trend here is former Republicans shoot at Trump. Or current, because the last guy was a current Republican. Someone check on Doghouse? Why? Is he in the... Oh, so I see what you mean. No, he ain't going to do nothing. He's of sound mind, okay? All right. Let's see here. So we have this, and I feel like there were more things that were just posted into the content suggestions.
She's been a problem.
Never heard of Asian Andy. Okay, I love Coach Walls. Alrighty, let's see here.
We're on CNN. Actually, the biggest search terms being associated with Donald Trump's name now have to do with they're eating their dogs, eating the cats, eating the pets, Haitian situation, which we're about to talk about with Zeducation, but let's take a listen to Enton's analysis there.
Yeah, what are the rising things that people are Googling along with Donald Trump's name? It's not what Donald Trump's campaign would necessarily want, right? It's eating pets. It's eating dogs. It's eating cats. Obviously, that was Donald Trump's moment on the debate stage. Of course, that's a Fugazi story. It's not real. It's fake. Yet he went after it. This is a disaster. Who the heck, if you're running a presidential campaign, that you'd want your name being Googled with eating pets, eating dogs, eating cats? My goodness gracious.
Well, I mean, maybe he thinks it's a win.
Well, he's wrong.
So they do think it's a win. Trump, at least, thinks it's a win.
He thinks it's a win. So does JD. I'll save all
go
my
ahead.
comments. I'm going to save all my comments.
Say something now, because we'll get Zed in the next one. So go ahead and just give us your top line thoughts on this.
I think that they are making the same mistake that they all made during Stop the Steal, which is they believe that anything that directionally points or causes argument around the issue that they think they are going to win on, like immigration, they believe that anything is justified.
They admit that it's all a lie. They admit that they're lying. J.D. Vance has gone on multiple interviews now, and they've called him out for the fact that it's a lie. And he's like, well, yeah, we're trying to make sure that people are talking about this issue. And if I have to make up a story so that people are talking about real issues, then I'll do that. And then they say, so you're admitting that it's a false story, that you made this up, that this is fake news. I'm not going to get down into the weeds as to what is fake news and what isn't fake news. Okay, Dana? Like, bro, Unbelievable. What did Elon say? What did he say this time? Okay, this better be quick.
The Democrat open borders plan to entrench single-party rule, explained in under 2 minutes. 1. Flood the country with untold millions of illegals by land, sea, and air from all over the world, enough to eclipse the populations of 36 individual U.S. states so far. 2. Prioritize the needs of these millions of non-citizens over the needs of the American citizen, with free flights, buses, hotels, meals, and phones.
Elon tweeting this. Can you imagine? Can you imagine again? They say that the other liberal tech CEOs are doing this. The only one that's putting out explicit partisan propaganda is Elon Musk. He's the only one doing this. You cannot be a conservative and pretend that any of the other ones are doing it when Elon is the only one. He is the only one doing this. Didn't Taft do this? I'm not going to lie, fam. I know all about Taft.
In talking about, in backing up, in
Oh, wait, hold on. We'll scoot that back a little bit.
Ensuring their loyalty to the political party that imported them. 3. Keep them in the country at all.
No, there's no reason for them to be loyal to the Democrats. Again, most of the people that are coming in from below the border, from the south of the border, they're going to be like socially conservative. It's a bunch of Catholics. A bunch of Catholics coming down from their countries into the United States. A bunch of conservatives. And you don't think that you can capture those people? 1 second.
All costs, even when they commit violent crime like murder and attack the language used to describe the criminals, as opposed to the criminals themselves.
Not all of them are criminals. And when you say racist shit, people are going to call you a racist. Imagine that. When you say Haitians are eating cats and dogs, people are going to call you racist. Go figure.
Critics as racist. 4. Ensure their privileges are made irrevocable with city and state sanctuary laws that act as population magnets.
The federal government doesn't have control over city and state sanctuary laws. And what was the thing that you said just before that? Ensure their privileges are made irrevocable. Their privileges aren't irrevocable. There's specific. What was the type of Haitian? Is it TPS? Temporary protected status. The key word there being temporary protected status. Temporary. No one has been given total protected status. It doesn't stand for total. It doesn't stand for temporally, locked in place forever. Temporary, meaning for a short amount of time. That's what that means. That's what words mean.
Are made irrevocable with city and state sanctuary laws that act as population magnets. Codify permanent status and ensure non-cooperation with ICE. 5. Count the non-citizens in the census that will determine...
That has always been the case. It has always been the case. Why do we count non-citizens in the census? Whether they are illegal immigrants or whether they are, temporary workers here from India or whatever the... Why do we count those people? We count population, so we know how many people should be in Congress from that state. We count population so that we know how much federal funding that states should get because of the wear and tear on infrastructure. And the more people that there are in a specific area, the more wear and tear there's going to be on that infrastructure. It's a good thing that we count non-citizens in the census. It would kill places like Texas or California or maybe Florida. I don't know which states have the highest levels of undocumented citizens, but it's just something that is a good thing to do. He's a poor man's Bastiat. Who are you talking about? Are you talking about me? You know what? I'll take that if you're saying that about me. Let's finish this out.
Congressional apportionment in the House of Representatives. As of now.
Yeah, those predominantly help conservative states. Like 3,000 population states that have no one in them that they're going to for work opportunities, even if they're undocumented citizens, even if they're like, I'm not saying that undocumented, wrong chat, shame. Well, say something nice about me now, Savicio. Okay, say something nice about me. But yeah, like Texas, California, Arizona, New Mexico, I guess places like Ohio would benefit from this, and that's an overwhelmingly conservative state. Like, why would you? You're also cucking your own side if you're a conservative, if you don't want to count undocumented citizens in the census.
That would equal 13.
Oh, here's a map. Interesting. Texas, New Mexico, California. Look at all of these. Look at all of these states that would be helped by counting undocumented citizens in the census. They get more federal funding for their infrastructure. They get more people for their population count. Like, it just helps.
Extra congressional districts. A tremendous amount of electoral power. 6. Wage a massive...
And again, Texas is probably going to be one of the biggest recipients of that. You know? Like 600,000 undocumented in New York. I guess I could see it, but just like the idea that I don't know if that would like proportionally change how many seats that they get, just because there's also an increase over here. But like Texas, 1.6 million, California, that's a Democrat, I guess. But like if we're looking at like all these other states, Arizona is a swing state that tends to vote conservative. Georgia is a conservative state. Florida is a conservative state. North Carolina has been voting conservative since 2012. No, wait, 2008, I think. This helps conservatives more than it helps liberals.
Heavily funded lawfare campaign to change state voting laws that legalize mass mail-in ballots. No signature verification.
Sorry, I was reading chat.
Extra congressional districts. A tremendous amount of electoral power. 6. Wage a massive, heavily funded lawfare campaign to change...
Well, hold on. See, again, the reason why is actually a good one. The more people that you have using your infrastructure, the more federal funding that you're going to need to repair that infrastructure, to upkeep it, right? So if you have an extra 1.6 million people in Texas that are undocumented, you probably still want to be able to count those people so that the federal government can fund accurately how, to upkeep the infrastructure and the things that are having wear and tear, like roads and stuff like that. Those are going to get wear and tear on them, associated with more people driving on them, right? It like that kind of funding helps out with building new houses and stuff like that. Or hear me out, they apply to be U.S. citizens and get the out. Wait, hold on. They apply to be U.S. citizens and then after they apply to be U.S. citizens, then we kick them out? No. I mean, like, it's just like one of those things where like it might feel bad at a surface level, but like the more you think about it, the more you look into like the specific reasons why you count. And this isn't just like, this is all non-citizens, right? They count all non-citizens, whether they're undocumented or if they are here on a green card or if they're here on a work visa or anything. Like if you have a bunch of Indians here from India on H-2B visas, right? Going into Washington, Oregon, and California, like those people should be counted because they're here, Your problem is caused by another problem. You fix the core issue, then you fix all the other issues. Well, nobody's willing to, we've been over this a million times, just me and you. Like nobody is willing to actually solve the issue at the border, because the issue at the border is the asylum seeking process, right? Like how to claim asylum. And the Republicans aren't offering a solution for that. They're just saying we need to build a wall and we need to deport everyone. But they don't want to fix the actual policy that is like the biggest driver of people to come here, So like everybody sucks on that. Yes, they are, Tron.
Change state voting laws that legalize mass mail-in ballots. No signature verification. Legalize a tremendous amount of electoral power. 6. Wage a massive, heavily funded lawfare campaign to change state voting laws that legalize mass mail-in ballots. No signature
There's nothing wrong with that.
verification. And
Yes, there is signature verification, and you have to be a citizen of the United States to vote in a federal election. You're not going to be able to vote if your name is on that ballot when it's sent to you.
no proof of citizenship requirements, making it nearly impossible to prove voter fraud.
That's not true.
7. Lock in the permanent voting majority with campaign promises of lavish benefits and permanent privileges, enshrining generational fear.
This is just the Great Replacement theory. He realizes that he's posting the Great Replacement theory, right? This is like the soft version of the Great Replacement theory.
Loyalty to the Democrat Party. 8. Win elections. 9. Entrenched single-party rule has been achieved.
Except we're in the most divided 50-50 Senate, near 50-50 House that the country has ever seen in like the past 150 years.
The best part? Your tax dollars are paying for it.
Western Lens Man. I'm going to look that guy up. I wonder if it's a Nazi account. Oh, wait, hold on. I can just click on his profile there. A little bit scared to just show it on stream here because I don't know what this guy posts. But let me take a cursory look here. It's all just like Democrats are evil. I don't see anything that's explicitly like Nazi. Seems like it's just a very angry boy.
My goodness gracious.
Well, I mean, maybe he thinks it's a win.
He's
Who
wrong.
knows?
So they do think it's a win. Trump at least thinks it's a win.
He thinks it's a win. So does JD. I'll save all
Go
my
ahead.
comments. I'm going to save all my comments.
Say something now, because we'll get Zed in the next one. So go ahead and just give us your top line thoughts on this.
I think that they are making the same mistake that they all made during Stop the Steal, which is they believe that anything that directionally points or causes argument around the issue that they think they are going to win on, like immigration, they believe that anything is justified in talking about, in backing up, in not surrendering on in order to focus the conversation. Now, as I had said to them at that time, I think they're fundamentally incorrect because I think, A, lying to people is, I'm going to put morals out of it. Lying to people or saying things that are incorrect give you too much to be discredited on, where people say, then I don't believe anything that you say. So for example, Stop the Steal. Everyone was like, look, it's not about bamboos and Mike Lindell and all of us. I'm like, well, Trump thinks it is, but they're like, it's about mail-in balloting laws in the state of Pennsylvania. I go, hey, bro, but that's not what people are talking about.
Right.
You guys are saying that the election should not be certified because the Pennsylvania Supreme Court made a ruling on mail-in ballots. That's not the same thing that you're talking about. So you want to talk about Haitians? Let's talk about it all day long, about TPS, the legitimacy of migrant law, asylum, etc. I think that's a winning issue for Republicans, and polls show that. But when you start claiming people are eating pets and dogs, and then when you get discredited on that, and then even worse, you start to take anecdotal evidence as fact in and of itself, the current defense is, my constituents say, listen, I'm going to give you news. Most people who are interested in politics are stupid and weird. Like, if you are at the local level, and by the way, I include myself in that. So if you are at the local level and you're calling your congressman, I've manned enough of these phones. If you have the time out of the middle of your day to call your congressman and complain, you're a freaking weirdo 98% of the time. So that we're just going to take these people's word? I mean, how many times do we see these bullshit election affidavits that were completely fake? Fake. You know, and Stop the Steal. Oh, I saw this, blah, blah, blah. Fake. Did an investigation. Fake. Oh, saw this. Judge literally looks at it, laughs, and throws it out of the courtroom. They see that as evidence of conspiracy, which is part of the issue. So, I mean, how many times do we see these bullshit election affidavits that were completely fake? Fake. You know, and Stop the Steal. Oh, I saw this, blah, blah, blah. Fake. Did an investigation. Fake. Oh, saw this. Judge literally looks at it, laughs, and throws it out of the courtroom. They see that as evidence of conspiracy, which is part of the issue. So, I mean, in general, they have this idea of directional truth. Now, look, in their defense.
Directional truth.
For real.
It's such a dystopian concept.
It is, but I'll give their defense on this, is that Trump tells small lies to tell bigger truths. Like he tells small lies about Haitians to get us talking about X, Y, and Z. And, I have to take myself out of it. In 2016, when shit like this was happening, when he did the Khazir Khan, Access Hollywood, The Judge, all this stuff, I was like, there's no way this guy can win. And he still won. So maybe they are right, and maybe their theory is correct. I don't think there's enough recent evidence to show that it's right.
Yeah.
I think he looks stupid. I actually think that what it does is it validates this idea of, well, anything. It validates like Russiagate. Oh, because we have Oleg Deripaska and a dossier that Christopher Steele put together that says, X, Y, and Z. We spent 2 years as a country litigating that, and Democrats, rightfully, were eviscerated for believing that, Donald Trump peed on somebody and there was a video of it. That's the same, thing
That shit would have been so funny if it was real. Damn, it's such a shame that that's not real, because it would be so funny if it was. Damn.
You're doing here. We're like, oh, well, I heard from my neighbor's daughter's friend on Facebook.
By the way, the Facebook lady is like,
and she
regrets putting it up there. She's like, and she heard it from like somebody, it was like third-hand potential possibility.
My top line is just, listen, I think people are smart, and I think they're actually a lot smarter than you give them credit for. And I think when you are telling lies and they see through that, they both don't trust you. And, this whole jujitsu, there's this high IQ jujitsu that goes on. I called it high IQ stop the steal at the time. I don't think it works. I just don't. I think that poll after poll after poll says the chaos and all the stuff around Trump is actually what people feel exhausted by. That's part of the reason he lost the 2020 election. Stop the steal was a huge hindrance to them in 2022. I see no evidence that it will work this time. Listen, they're the ones running, so maybe they are right. And if they win, I'll eat it. But I don't know. I mean, at the very least, personally, I think it's ridiculous and stupid. But listen, there's maybe enough people who the pets thing gets them thinking about the migrant situation, and that's enough for them to vote Republican. Again, I don't see evidence recently that is correct. I think it's actually a really bad way to do politics. I also think, for them too, you're betting everything on the line here, guys. Like, if you lose, you're done. Like, think about it. In terms of being taken seriously as a party apparatus.
I like how soccer's main worry is just the optics. It's just the optics, dude. He only cares about how it makes people look, and not the fact that they're spreading very openly, very extremely racist things.
I know Trump is exempt from this just because he's bigger above that category. But for everybody else, JD included, you're a young man, dude. You got to live your whole life in this town. If you lose, you're going to be one of those senators who's a lifer. You want to be like Josh Hawley, put his fist up and hasn't seen the light of day in 4 years? I don't want to be like that.
Yeah.
And so it's like, why?
No,
why would we do this?
He's all in now.
Well,
and there's no
now
going
you
back.
have no choice.
There's no going back.
It is genuinely over.
Yeah.
You either win, everything. You either win or, in my opinion, sign up for the Holly category. Enjoy.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's a fun place to be.
Well, we were talking about this on Thursday after our show.
Yeah.
And I said, because we were looking at the poly market odds on whether Trump was going to say cat
yes.
at the
it was
rally.
only 32%. He didn't say it, by the way. He said pets.
But I said, he's going to talk about this because he thinks this is good for him because he can't tell the difference between good and bad publicity. He thinks any intention on him is good. And it's been driving him crazy that he's not been the main character. So the public has developed and the media and the political class, everybody's developed some immunity to Trump's insanity over the years. So the things that send the media into a tizzy that worked in 2016, they don't work the same way in 2024, right? Like the, she turned black thing. Everyone was, for one day, like, what the hell? And then they moved on. And Kamala Harris very smartly was like, same old playbook, who cares? Let's move on, let's talk about you. So this is the first time he said something outrageous, disgusting, insane enough that it did send everybody into a tizzy. And so he likes being in that situation again where he gets to control the narrative. But yeah, it's not the same as 2016. Because this is, yes, it feeds into a conversation about immigration, but I would argue it actually undercuts your position on immigration because you're not talking about this as an economic issue. You're not talking about this as a housing issue. You're talking about it in an incredibly, racist way. And so people look at this and go,
gonna get mad about that.
That's what this is actually all about.
It's not racist.
So the framing on the issue is the polar opposite of what you would want. And number two, it validates the Democratic frame of like, these people are just weird. Like, they're just a bunch of weird freaks. And when they're Googling you with pets and dogs and cats and whatever, and you think it's great that people are making TikToks making fun of you, you don't even see that they're like mocking you to your face. You think this is wonderful for you. But the reality is that this actually just validates the Democratic framing, the way they have wanted, the lens they have wanted to apply to you. So being the main character in this instance, not always the thing that you ultimately want.
The reason I'm just not willing to is I'm a cynical person, and I think that there's a lot of people out there who may like it. I think that there are people who really enjoy the media getting upset, and liberals. I think that, look, there's a decent enough evidence on the immigration question as well that a lot of people who care about immigration don't care about economics at all. They're worried about demographic change.
Those people already voted for Trump.
Yes, but you know, let's say it's not even about swaying. It's about getting those people out to vote. Maybe that's enough to get them off the couch, or their relatives. The immigration situation has been crazy enough that, you know, maybe it's enough that for them to forgive that or to think about this whole policy thing. Again, I don't see evidence for that, but I'm not going to discount that possibility. He has turned out people
I'm going to discount that possibility. You know, the other thing here.
And what was the possibility that he's talking about?
Question as well that a lot of people who care about immigration don't care about economics at all. They're worried about demographic change.
Those people already voted for Trump.
Yes, but you know, let's say it's not even about swaying. It's about getting those people out to vote. Maybe that's enough to get them off the couch, or their relatives. The immigration situation has been crazy enough that, you know, maybe it's enough that for them to forgive that or to think about this whole policy thing. Again, I don't see evidence for that, but I'm not going to discount that possibility. He has turned out people
I'm going to discount that possibility. You know, the other thing here.
He did win. Like in 2016, he won.
He won in 2016. He lost but he's been losing ever since. Lost in 2018, lost in 2020, lost in 2022. This guy does not have the touch in the sense that he used to.
I heard from a guy whose mama works with a housekeeper at Mar-a-Lago that Trump lets Laura Loomer fuck him in the... Jesus, please. Please don't put that image into my head. I don't need that image in my head. I don't need the image of them having missionary, you know, loving, consensual sex in my mind, because it's Laura Loomer and Donald Trump, and those are two people that I never want to imagine having sex with anybody, let alone together. Jesus.
And this will fit in with, you know, the conversation we're about to have.
But it seems more and more likely the more people are like posting pictures of them together and the way that they interact together, and they're like blowing kisses at each other and stuff. Like, that's a very strange, at the very least, it's a very, 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 very strange relationship that they have. Okay. I don't want to imagine them at all. Okay. I would prefer to be lobotomized. Okay. That's where I'm at.
About Laura Loomer. Like, his posture in 2016 was tabloid.
Yeah.
It was sensationalist. It was New York Post, right? It was the tabloid, like, finger on the pulse in a raunchy, over-the-top, obnoxious way. But yeah, finger on the pulse. Then in 2020, he's like Fox News grandpa, which there still is a large appetite for in the country, right? Mainstream sort of conservative Fox News grandpa talking points. That's good enough to get him close. Now it's like Truth Social, or like, you know, the weird echo chambers on Twitter, listening to Laura Loomer, taking advice from her as if she's a positive asset for your campaign. I just think he's completely lost the plot. And Dave Weigel tweeted this, which I think is really true. He's like, sometimes you're living rent-free in your opponent's head because you pissed your pants and they think it's really funny. Yeah. Like, not all publicity is good publicity. And we already know from the polls we just covered, this did not go well for him. Like, it did not go well for him. The more people were familiar with the debate and things that he had to say in the debate, like the pets thing, the less inclined they are to support Donald Trump. So in a sense, like, the verdict is already in with the polling and what has come out of that. She's narrowed the gap on the economy. She's even narrowed the gap on immigration and who people think would be better on that issue. She was seen as, she's improved in favorability. Donald Trump has fallen in favorability post-debate. The polling has been almost uniformly better for her. So, like, I sort of feel like the jury is already in with the data that we already have. And you could say these polls are all off.
That's my point.
But we're looking at polls. We're looking at the trend line, right? And so even if you say a given poll is off in their methodology, if the trend line moved in her direction, that still is representative or reflective of a real change that actually happened, given that they're using the same methodology
But
each
if
time.
he wins, what is he going to take away from this? What are him and JD going to take away from this? I mean, if you win the election, you know, and you pursue this, you get put back into the White House. I mean, I think that's, frankly, like we all need to grapple with that then. We're like, okay, well, we're going to have some 2016 ever conversations again about like, all right, clearly there's something going on here. You know, people are, again.
It could also be, though, in spite of this, not because of this, but.
Possible.
Yeah.
At the very least, when you win, all sins are forgiven. And so if you look at it and you think about it, if they win based on this, I would say it actually gives them the leeway to do whatever they want. They could say, listen, we've said this, we got away with this. When we told our directional truths, they listened. So mass deportation on the table. Any family separation back on the table. We're not listening to the media criticism. We're not listening to any of this bullshit anymore. We're unhinged. And frankly, I don't think they would be wrong. You know, if they do win the election, even when they were conducting themselves this way and all that, I think it tells you something pretty clear about where things are going. You may not like that direction, but it's very possible. So I guess this is a test of political theories. My theory is that you should not lie to people. Do the directional truth. My theory is that constantly trying to validate, you know, this partisan bullshit, like no offense, Christopher Rufo, but this whole thing about like, oh, well, some African guys 45 miles away barbecued a cat in 2023. I'm like, yeah.
Also, the tweet that everyone's saying that people were barbecuing a cat, it was Bosnians. They weren't even, I don't even think that they were immigrants. It was a Bosnian family, right? I don't know if they were immigrants or if that's just their heritage. And it was lamb. It was lamb. God.
Yeah,
but that's not what we're talking about here.
But and that's not even potentially reality.
Okay,
but anyway, you paid $5,000. Yeah,
listen,
whatever.
Regardless of whether it's true or not, I'm just like, but that's not actually what he said. That's not what they said. They said X, Y, and Z. Now, I mean, I think politicians should have to tell the truth. I think that when they say things based on quote unquote anecdotal evidence as, you know, as backing up allegedly, you know, I'll put it this way. Just because some of your constituents said that X, Y, and Z was true, you know, JD keeps saying it. My constituents keep saying this is true. My constituents keep saying
he hasn't produced evidence of, but go on.
Okay,
Yeah, but even if that's the case.
That's not a good enough standard to come out of your mouth.
Yeah.
Like, your extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. You have to be able to, and also as a politician, I mean, part of the reason that we don't live in a quote-unquote direct democracy and we do live in a republic is this idea that the founding fathers had of mediation between the whims and the movement of the mob and considered people. That's specifically the entire job of the United States Senate, is to cool the temperature of the country, to provide due diligence and deliberation around where things are. Now, throughout our history, there has been deep vacillation between wanting the diligent, the professor, the Obama, and then the id, people like Donald Trump or many other populists, not even at the national level, at the state level too. So I could be, again, they could be right. Like, they really could be running some sort of Richard Nixon style 1968 silent majority. The media treated Nixon the same way. The problem I have is I read about Nixon. Nixon probably had like a 160 IQ. He might be one of the smartest people who has ever held the Oval Office. He was a lot more...
Not smart enough to not get impeached and removed from office.
More disciplined. He was a lot more considered. Sure, his morals weren't always there necessarily, but I think he was a very smart man, a very calculating man, and in many cases, he was a very good president. So I don't see the same, you know, the same link between them. But they have a theory, and the theory has worked. I mean, anybody who can win the Oval, that's something. You know, that's something that I know, because in that moment I said, how could this man ever get elected? And he did. So, I mean, it shattered my political consciousness for all time.
Yeah.
So I can never just sit here and just be like, no, I don't think it's going to work. Because I really believe I could be totally wrong about the way that I view the public. And I've been proved wrong on the show so many different times.
The theory they have of Americans is deeply cynical.
Yeah, but they might be right.
Because I mean, think about what they've incited in this town, not just against the legal, by the way, Haitian residents of this town, but against the whole town. You have the mayor, you have the governor begging for them to stop, because now It's not just Haitians who go to those elementary schools that have been subject to bomb threats. It's not just Haitians that want to seek treatment at the hospital that's been subject to bomb threats. It's not just Haitians that are like under siege in this little Ohio town that J.D. Vance, by the way, represents as his constituents. It's this entire town. And so, yeah, their bet is that actually the core concerns that people have about immigration are not actually about housing, wages, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The things that you talk about, Sagar, it's not actually about that. It's actually just like racist, we don't like these people because they're different and we want them out. And so we're gonna play into that. We're gonna lean into that. That's the bet that they're making. And I just don't believe that. I don't think most Americans want to see themselves as racist. I don't think they want to have their policy views or who they vote for president driven by just like explicit racist fear-mongering. And so it's a little bit, it's too naked, right? It's too mask off. And this is what the conversation we had about the like Kamala Harris, she turned black thing too, where I was like, this is not gonna work because it's too naked a racial appeal.
Yes.
And most people, you got your people out there who are cool with that. Unfortunately, that is a reality that exists and has always existed in America and probably always will exist. The overwhelming majority of Americans really do believe in like the best ideal of the melting pot. They don't want to see themselves as explicitly sexist, racist, xenophobic, whatever. And you're kind of stripping them of plausible deniability here with this whole Haitian pet situation. So that's why I think, to me, it's just very clear that this is a fail, that it's already a fail. And I'm not saying that it doesn't mean he can't win, but if he does, it will be in spite of this, because we already see the way the poll numbers have moved against him post-debate when this became the center of conversation.
The counter is simple. The counter is that rapid demographic change doesn't mean that you're racist. It means that you want control over that. You have an uncontrolled system.
Yeah, but if your argument for why we should get rid of these people and like why we should just start like going door to door and, you know, in deporting all of them is that they're eating all the pets and it's based off of a lie, right? Like you can make a case to reduce the amount of what do you call it? Immigration in the country. You can make that case. It's super easy. All right. It depresses low-end wages, blah, 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 right? Culture, blah, 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 blah. But they're not making those arguments. They're saying that they're eating cats and dogs and it's ruining their optics. It's ruining their reputations. It's just why would you ever go that route?
I mean,
that's
look,
not what they're saying.
No. But I'm saying look, if you get somebody to vote for Trump in spite of this on the immigration question, it's going to be this. All right, I got two choices. I got a candidate who we had more illegal immigrants enter the country under their reign than a decade before. We have the highest level of a foreign-born population since the 1900s. We have ethnic strife. Do we want to live in a balkanized America of ethnic like enclaves in various different cities where half of these people don't speak any English? The vast majority of them are semi-literate. They don't have a high school degree. I mean, by the way, these Haitians, these people are here under TPS, which is supposed to be temporary. They're not even supposed to be here forever.
We don't actually even, some of them, I'm sure that's true for some of them.
They're here under TPS, which is temporary. And just because they haven't left yet doesn't mean that they're not going to. There's an ongoing conflict. There's an ongoing conflict in Haiti. They have gangs running the whole thing.
Some of them, the indication from the mayor and other authorities, they actually have been here for years. They moved into the town from other places because there were job opportunities. So,
okay, listen.
So, but I'm saying, not to nitpick,
when you
but just
call
to clarify.
somebody a migrant, that implies forever, permanence. They're here under TPS, which is supposed to be, they're supposed to go back. So when are you going back? And that's part of the problem. In America, we have an immigration system where you can just come here and say, oh, I fear for my life, and you get to stay here forever. Basically, even if the court tells you to leave, you don't have to leave.
The temporary protected status doesn't apply to all people who come over the border. It's only for specific countries and for specific amounts of time. I mean, I'm an idiot on the internet. I just Googled this last stream. It's not super hard. It's super not hard to find that information. is super easy to find. So why are we pretending like this is so complicated and so difficult? It's not. Cannibal gangs, if I'm not mistaken. No, there's one instance of cannibalism from a gang. Yes, it was one guy eating like a little bit of another guy because he was trying to send a message to the rival gang. But cannibalism doesn't seem to be a widespread thing. There's one instance of that. And, massive gangs who are running countries tend to do, like people who are part of warlord bands tend to do some unhinged shit. Okay. Like there's a reason why we make them look a certain way and act a certain way in movies. Is because they kind of act like that in real life when you're part of a war band. War bands are full of crazy people. I sense a theme. Yeah. It's almost like these people lie constantly.
There's no enforcement. You're in a town of Springfield, Ohio. You're, 60,000 people. Your mayor and your leaders have decided to invite others. You didn't necessarily sign up for that. The federal government puts you there. And you say, listen, this is intolerable to me. I don't want to live this way. Now, look, my parents are immigrants, so this is complicated. But all I need to do is go back and read.
But my parents were some of the good
ones.
ones.
Put yourself in the shoes of these waspy elites or others, and it's 1830. You're in this newly industrialized economy. You're previously an agrarian society. You and your parents, your family goes back to Jamestown or fought in the Revolutionary War. And now your whole neighborhood is Irish, and people are wasted all the time, beating the crap out of their wives, working at the factory. I mean, listen, is it legitimate?
You're pulling out the anti-Irish bigotry this morning.
They passed prohibition because these people were drinking a liter of whiskey.
Tell me about the Italians.
Oh my God, is he going?
But
I didn't say it's a problem.
Dog, he's going back to the 1800s, early 1900s to like pull out the anti-immigration rhetoric. They're drinking all the whiskey. They're drinking a liter of whiskey. They're drinking a liter of whiskey a day, brother. Do you hear yourself right now? That's the sort of shit that we say jokingly to make fun of the racist people in the early 1900s. We say those things as jokes now because it's so comically stupid. It's so comically insane to say those things.
Integrated.
Yes,
but
after we shut down immigration for 50 years.
But this is the point, is every single wave of migration we've had, like there have been, similar fear-mongering about these, and they'll never integrate, and they'll never learn the language, and they'll never be part of society. We're gonna have these balkanized ethnic enclave neighborhoods, et cetera, et cetera. And every single time, guess what? Generation later, they're just American. Their kids are speaking English. They're eating McDonald's. They're doing the whole thing. You talk to the people in the town, not the ones that right-wing YouTubers were interviewing that were calling the Haitian immigrants, quote unquote, sand monkeys. Yes, this was proffered as evidence that this was legitimate, that this was a legitimate criticism. But if you talk to—
Hold on one second. I gotta help my girlfriend with something. Let me grab something for her. Oh. Not too much longer. I'm kind of running out of steam. Yesterday when I went to the Walmart? How? All right. Let's see here.
Ethnic enclave neighborhoods, et cetera, et cetera. And every single time, guess what?
It
Generation
doesn't happen.
later, they're just American. Their kids are speaking English. They're eating McDonald's. They're doing the whole thing. You talk to the people in the town, not the ones that right-wing YouTubers were interviewing that were calling the Haitian immigrants, quote unquote, sand monkeys. Yes, this was evidence that this was legitimate, that this was a legitimate criticism. But if you talk to a lot of the people in the town, this was a town that was struggling, right? It was like the town that I lived in Ohio, where the jobs had gone away. They had seen a massive population, a depopulation. And that's death for a town. It's death for, the infrastructure. It's death for the tax base, the schools, everything. I don't doubt that there are entirely legitimate concerns about, you know, when a group, whatever group it is, wherever they come from, moves into the town, just like in Texas and Austin, right? And other places where white people have moved in, and it's like, oh shit, the housing prices are going up, et cetera, et cetera. I don't doubt that there have been challenges there, but there have also been really positive things. You know, the pastors are saying, hey, the churches are full again. You've had a huge community rallying around actually the Haitian migrants to the region, white people eating at the like Haitian restaurants to show solidarity.
All right, Haitian food is not good, but
Haitian, I
the plantations.
disagree.
Is it?
Plantains?
Yeah, whatever it is. I had it when I was in Miami.
Disagree.
Sorry.
Disagree. But in any case,
What
you know,
what food?
Actually, the Haitian migrants to the region, white people eating at the like Haitian restaurants to show solidarity.
All right, Haitian food is not good, but
Haitian, I
the plantations.
Disagree.
Is it?
Plantains?
Yeah, whatever it is. I had it when I was in Miami.
Disagree. Disagree.
I
but
don't know
in any
anything
case,
about it.
You know, you and I see this very differently. That's been very clear in our discussions before. But to go back to just like the political point here, I just don't think that the reality for most Americans is that they experience in their daily lives this sense of like deep ethnic and racial strife. That's just not the reality. And Americans have complicated views on immigration, I think more complicated than the views in Europe, because we do have this conception and this reality as a nation of immigrants, and that is a core American value. So while it's completely legitimate to have debates about how many immigrants and how many can we process and what are the burdens on the resources, et cetera, this sort of naked racial appeal, I already think the data proves it's a bridge too far for people, and it's not the way that they think about the issue.
A lot of people like to think that. I don't necessarily believe it. I think that if anything, pouring more all of these illegals into the country over the last 5 years has probably exacerbated it to a level which, as you know, I don't necessarily want to see it. That's just my last counter, is that at the end of the day, you have massive foreign-born population here in the country that has always led to major strife. Now, you can just whitewash 50 years of history, but that's not how people saw it at the time. People, you know, we were fighting World War I.
Just because people had shitty opinions back in the day doesn't mean that we have to continue on their shitty opinions now, okay? Like, I don't know what to tell you. Just because someone did something stupid a long time ago or said something stupid or felt a stupid way a long time ago does not mean that you're necessarily correct for what you're doing.
The Irish population didn't want to fight because we were supporting the English, and they were like, hey, we fled the English. The Germans were literally pro-Kaiser during World War II.
Really fought World War I.
Okay,
anyway,
fine. Okay, well, during World War II,
right.
there was a massive Nazi fifth column here in the United States because of the German population. Ask the SS, who had great files on all of our people. There is a problem. Now, does that mean that Japanese people should have been thrown in an internment camp and Germans and all of them should have been racially discriminated against? No. What I'm saying is foreign-born populations at very, very high levels cause real strife inside of a country. People at that time responded to it by shutting down the border for 50-some years and restricting immigration so that all of those people could assimilate, which led to the golden boom of the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s. It was only in '65 that the Immigration Naturalization Act changed after some 50 years of assimilative policy that was instituted. If you want to live in a society that you and I probably want to live in, more socially democratic, in Denmark, for example, if you're Muslim, you don't get to play the Quran. If you're in school, they're like, oh, you're Muslim? That's cool. We don't do that here. In France, same thing. You're not wearing that hijab, and they have major problems with that. If you want to live in a socially democratic country, a lot of the times they have deeply restrictive immigration policy, specifically over resources.
Yeah, and they have failed policies when it comes to assimilating people into their country, which is why we see so many more issues in Europe with immigration than we do in the United States with immigration, because we're able to assimilate all these people into our country fairly easily, whereas people in Europe seem to have a massive issue with that. Oh, wait, Admiral Gibbs, how's it going? What the f is a waffle? I have named my Pokemon. So Waffle, named after Waffles, my cat. And I have another Pokemon. I have a Tyranitar named Sushi, named after my cat, Sushi, who hates me.
questions and over ethnic homogeneity. I'm not saying that everybody has to look the same. I think people should speak the same. So when people come here and the vast majority of them are semi-literate in Spanish and they don't speak English, it's a huge problem. Like, you can't even pass a test to be able to enter under the most basic citizenship guidelines? No, sorry. Well, you have to speak English to be able to come here. I don't think that's racist. You could call it that if you wanted, and that's part of the issue, is that everything that gets described as racist, or even talking about ethnic conflict, or everyone, I don't think it's racist to say that there were a lot of people here who were huge drunks. A lot of them were immigrants in the
Jesus
1910s.
Christ.
We passed prohibition because of them, because America was...
I've been looking at these Irishmen, and dare I say, they're a bunch of drunkards, stealing all of our good American jobs. Brother, you're cartoonishly racist if you're repeating these talking points. And I don't even think that he believes it. I think it's just something that he's saying.
So fed up, and including women who were all getting the crap beaten out of them. You can whitewash that if you want. Go listen to the people at the time who passed those laws. Like, you have to think and consider about what is legitimate and not. And so I don't think it's necessarily racist. Now, some people are racist.
Sagar,
it's true.
Yeah. Again, the points about what should the level of immigration be, over what period of time, I think it should be a lot more. You think it should be 0. Okay. By the way,
I think we should shut
the public does not support your position, but again, I think
let 10 million people in more, and you'll see.
Hold on. I think those points are a fine debate for a country to have. I do not think it is a fine debate to to invite a campaign of terror against a small town based on, yes, racist, neo-Nazi fueled, by the way. These were the people that originally were spreading the rumors about Haitians eating pets. That is racist, okay? And that's my point. That's my point, is that when Trump, if Trump was making a case and Republicans were making a case, as they were previously, about like too many and chaos at the border and crime, which again, undocumented immigrants commit less crime than the native-born population, and actually less crime than documented immigrants, put that aside. Okay. But again, when you're in that realm, you're talking about housing,
data doesn't lie.
The issues in this, okay. But when you make a naked racist appeal that is undeniable, right? It's not even plausible on its face, and it's just a lie, you are going to lose people, and you're going to lose ground on the issue. And again, I don't even think this is my opinion. This is what the polls and the data show at this point. But, to go back to the core of the debate here, like, this town is kind of a model example, right? I mean, this is an extreme situation. There's some dispute, by the way, about the 20,000 figure, but we'll put that aside. There was a significant influx of migrants to the town. There's no doubt about that. There's no doubt that there have been, I think, the issues with, a lot of the Haitian immigrants there hadn't previously driven, and there's traffic accidents. There has been some increase in housing prices, although that has also been wildly overstated. There's been an increase in burden on the public school, in particular needing second language learning. Those are real concerns. But there also has been a huge increase in the vitality and prosperity of the area, huge increase in terms of the average wage. Again, I've lived in one of these towns that's dying and the population is getting sucked down. And it's a huge boon to have new population coming in, which is something conservatives recognize when it's Florida that's receiving the population and it's white people, right? Or Texas receiving the population and it's white people. But suddenly when it's, Haitians, some of whom, again, have been here for years.
That's a talking point I've never heard before, but actually a little bit of a fair point. We've had massive, I don't know if you even pronounce it differently, but there's immigration, IMM, and there's immigration, EME. And immigration is moving from one place to another within the same country, right? Or within the same locality, or, within the same borders. So you're moving, from California to Texas. Nobody bats an eye, but that would still have the same economic shocks as illegal immigration. It would have the exact same shocks. So why do we not care about that? I would have to think about that. I've never thought about it like that, but that's an interesting point.
Suddenly it's, a massive crisis and a massive problem. And And there's no recognition of any of the many benefits that do exist on the other side.
It's not because they're white. It's because they're illegally here.
They're not though. The Haitians are not illegally
they're given
here.
TPS, which is a bullshit program.
But that's not. But that is different to say I object to the
wave a wand
program.
and say,
To
then
say
all of a sudden
it's a program I object to is totally different from saying that they're illegally here. They are not illegally here.
They are here
They're
under
here
false
legally.
pretenses.
And
number one.
It's not false
False
pretenses.
pretenses.
Because they're fleeing from a temporary situation. And
It is a temporary situation. What is this guy actually? There's no way he's this stupid. Wait, hold on. I was paying attention to my game for a second there. Let me hear him again.
Legally here.
They're not locked down. And it's a huge boon to have new population coming in, which is something conservatives recognize when it's Florida that's receiving the population and it's white people, right? Or Texas receiving the population and it's white people. But suddenly when it's, Haitians, some of whom, again, have been here for years, suddenly it's, a massive crisis and a massive problem. And there's no recognition of any of the many benefits that do exist on the other side.
It's not because they're white. It's because they're illegally here.
They're not. The Haitians are not illegally
they're given
here.
TPS, which is a bullshit
But
program.
that's not. But that is different.
That is the idea that we're gonna call. I don't think anybody would disagree. Every single person that I've ever talked to about immigration doesn't disagree that we should have some ability for us to say, hey, you know what? We should help these people out. It's a little bit, it's like a moral responsibility of the United States to help these people. Like people are like very, one second. I lost my train of thought. This is what happens when you don't have Vyvanse. Go back again.
And there's no recognition of any of the many benefits that do exist on the other side.
It's not because they're white. It's because they're illegally here.
They're not though. The Haitians are not illegally
they're given
here.
TPS, which is a bullshit
But
program.
that's not. But that is different.
We have like a moral responsibility, and people think it's a good thing when we're like the most powerful, most successful country on the face of the planet to ever exist in all of human history. For us to want to, for us to want to help other people and have the ability to, that's a really good thing. And for them to come here with work visas and work and increase our economy in doing so, that's a good thing. That's a good thing that we're doing. This is Route 34, right?
To say I object to the
wave
program.
a wand and say it should be illegal,
To
then
say
all of a sudden
it's a
we're
program I object to is totally different from saying that they're illegally here. They are not illegally here.
They are here under false pretenses.
And
number one.
It's not
false
pretenses.
pretenses.
Because they're fleeing from a temporary situation and they never want to go back.
A temporary situation that we are very much implicated, by the way, in creating over 200 years.
Everybody in the world gets to come.
But Tucker, they're not there illegally. They're there legally. They are in a lot of ways like the model minority group. They've got jobs. They're working hard. They're going to church. They're building community institutions. They followed the process that was set out for them by this government. They're here legally. And so, no, you look at it and, maybe you can nitpick about, okay, but they, some of them don't speak English or whatever. But it seems to me the primary difference, the primary difference in not recognizing any of the upsides of this population is that they're not white.
Yeah, you're totally right, but it's not about being white. It's about the fact that the factory owners love cheap labor. I was just talking to somebody who was down there as a reporter. He's telling me
they're making good wages.
Yes, they're making good wages, which is which is less than they were paying the native-born citizens.
But that's why we
rich
should
factory guys like, oh, it's great. I don't have to deal with these white drug addicts.
The white people, the native-born population, weren't taking those jobs. Is the thing. They weren't taking those jobs. They weren't. They refused to take those jobs. They saw themselves as above it. They were having a tough time filling those jobs, even though they pay the native citizens more. They still weren't taking the jobs. Then the Haitians come in. They start taking the jobs that nobody would take. More jobs open up to accommodate more people in those in that area. It's Econ 101, dude.
Let me take you out of it because you support things like unions. But, you know, J.D. Vance has a 0% scoring record with the AFL-CIO.
Okay.
Trump is a union buster. Like, no, but hold on.
He showed
but
up
hold
to
on,
the
hold on, hold on.
WWII.
But hold on a second. Republicans only care about things like wages and housing when they can use it as a way to scapegoat migrants. If you care about wages, which I do, then there are a lot better ways to increase the wages of the native-born population than scapegoating migrants and lying and say they're eating pets. If you care about lowering the price of housing, making it more affordable, accessible, there are a lot better ways than scapegoating immigrants and saying they're eating pets. So I think their concern on this issue is not genuine. Again, this is not about you. This is about them. Their concern on this issue is not genuine. And the reason I know that is because none of their other policy prescriptions or stated concerns have to do with those issues.
Flip not apply to you then? Or
what do you mean?
Well, how does it flip saying, well, if you support mass migration, but just because you vote for the PRO Act, how can you possibly be pro-labor? That's just not true.
Of course it is.
No, but it's not, because the net effect is a massive
flood.
The
primary problem for workers in this country is not immigrants. It's not immigrants.
I mean,
in fact,
you should
immigrants,
ask them, but
the influx in population has increased our GDP. Now, I know.
Yeah, it would
that's
distribute it to
hold
whom?
on.
Yeah.
Well, that's the point.
Yeah. Yes.
And that's why I support the policies that I support, to make sure that when the GDP increases, that those fruits, that increased productivity, is distributed more generously among all working class populations. So there are much better
Why is she suddenly
solutions to
based?
housing and wages than scapegoating immigrants and lying and inciting like a racist hate campaign against this town based on a third-hand Facebook account of someone eating a pet.
Look, in the pet thing, it's not fair. Nobody's defending.
I know you're not defending that.
But I'm saying that whenever it comes to the legitimate concerns about, like, oh, the factory owner and the mayor likes it. Listen, since when have we ever trusted factory owner, rich people in towns?
This was a Democrat. Hold on, this was a democratically elected mayor.
Yeah, sure.
They have a chance to vote him out of office, and they don't,
right,
because the town has been, in certain key ways, not every way, but in certain ways, has been improved by the fact that you've had more jobs, more vitality.
It has been revitalized.
These immigrants who are there legally, are contributing to the community, are paying their taxes, by all accounts, are, by and large, minding their business and doing their thing and being good neighbors. And that piece that I'm not going to deny that there's that there's friction and there's growing pains and all of those things are real. I'm not dismissing that. I'm not saying that you're like racist if you think that. That's, I'm sure, a reality. But you also can't ignore that there have been benefits to having this population there, just as there have been benefits of the white people that moved to Austin or that moved to Florida or wherever, that created additional vitality for those areas too.
Well, the fundamental difference is those are legal U.S. citizens and these people are not. Now, maybe these Haitians
These people, they are legal. They are legal. It's literally the temporary protected status. It's literally. It's legal. It's legal.
You know what? When
They
we
are
legally
documented.
are required to send them back, I hope that
They're not undocumented.
we also do. But second to this is the simple question around managed change, managed demographics. They came here on an unregulated system where anybody in the world who shows up at the southern border and says, I fear for my life, gets to stay here for years on end and gets a work permit because the Biden administration releases them into the country. Trump did it too, so he's not off. So did George W. Bush and the rest. I think that's wrong, especially whenever people who aren't so conveniently at the southern border have to apply and pay a lot of fees, to take a freaking English test, and some other guy from Guatemala gets to come here. He doesn't have to take anything. He gets to work illegally on the back end. But this is the big question. Now, as I said,
work illegally, if they're coming in and they're going and getting the things that we're talking about, then they're necessarily legally working. Now, if they're illegally here, yeah, I don't care that much. Like, you can get rid of them, sure. But is that the only option that we have? Is there not something better that we can do? Like fixing the situation where it is with the asylum claim system? Why don't you guys ever want to fix that? You guys say that you want to fix that, but then you never do. You talk about building a wall instead. When we know what is attracting people. We know what is attracting people. And you guys never bring it up as something that we need to do. There we go. Thunderbolt. Thunder. Get fucked.
If Trump wins, I think it will be because of this. I think enough people will look past that. You may call it racist, but they'll say, look, enough.
Wait. Do you not think it's racist?
What,
the
Haitian
pets thing?
I mean, like, listen,
It is.
Okay,
It
when
is.
we say racist,
It
like,
is.
what does that mean? Like, look,
Fogger.
Well, I mean, this is the issue. This is uncomfortable territory. But
It's
I mean,
not
are we-
uncomfortable. It's very clear.
Well,
It's very clear. You're talking about an entire demographic of people, who you're saying are dirty, nasty barbarians who eat people's cats and dogs. You're doing the bad thing. Oh my God, are you kidding me, bro?
as Marianne Williamson said, what, are we going to ignore that there are like weird practices sometimes in the Haitian community? Like, I'm not saying,
You know,
like, again,
majority
that's
of
not
Haitians
everybody.
share the religion of J.D. Vance and are Catholic.
Which are, yeah, okay, but there's Santeria, which is a well-documented thing and has had a long time influence
Sagar,
in Caribbean communities.
To take a third-hand lie and smear an entire community
Yeah,
with it.
that was wrong.
That is the definition of racism.
I mean, listen, I'm
Tell
just
me your
reluctant-
definition of racism and how it does not apply to this
The
situation.
definition of racism is explicitly being biased against someone purely because of their race. And I don't necessarily think that that's where we're at here. Now, do I think that we are in a situation... I mean, look...
They made up false lies and then attributed it to the entire Haitian community by your own definition. Maybe I'm mishearing him. Maybe he said something.
I think being biased against someone...
How it does not apply to this
The
situation.
definition of racism is explicitly being biased against someone purely because of their race. And
Yeah. And you're saying that because they're Haitian, they're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs. What the f***? How's it going, neighbor guy? And free keks.
I don't necessarily think that that's where we're at here. Now, do I think that we are in a situation... I mean, look, is it biased? Is it... I'm
It's
trying to think
racist.
of the ways. And look...
I'm trying to think of all the words that I could possibly use. Is it racially biased? I could be, but is it racist? No. Like, brother, what is racial bias and racism? The Venn diagram of those two terms are a circle. What the f*** is wrong with you? Just say it's racist. It's so easy. You already said it's bad optics. Now you're doing the bad optics by saying, I don't know if it's actually racist to just say that all people who come from Haiti are eating our cats and dogs. Bruh. Is it racist to say Americans eat hot dogs and apple pie? American isn't a race. It's too broad of a... There's too many demographics in America that fall under the demographic of American to say that that's something that you could be biased like that towards. Whereas Haiti... You're saying that all Haitians, who all seem to be in one, like, racial demographic, right? Who all have a shared culture. And I just explained the difference, Bog and stuff. Like, there's a difference. And also, like, saying American is a race, like, American is a nationality, and that's the way that it should stay. Like, disagree? You think that American is a race, Bong and stuff. And listen, don't get me wrong. If there's people that come over here and they're doing bad things, that's totally fine. We can talk about those things. But to apply an entire demographic to this statement that they're doing barbaric shit it's just racist, dude. It's just racist.
people could say, oh, he's twisting himself into knots. It's just because my barrier for like what I call racist is high because I think it's a very misused word and frankly kind of stupid.
But sometimes you got to call a spade a spade.
I mean, I
And
think if
when
they
you
said
look
because
at-
they're black, I have a problem with them, yeah, I'd be like, yeah, that's racist. But, you know, to say
When you
like, oh,
take-
there's an issue here in the Haitian community specifically.
When you take an issue,
But it's not real. And then you all are all saying that they're eating the cats and dogs, which is why it makes it racist. If there was an actual issue and that was actually happening, and there was actually evidence of it happening, then yeah, brother, go for it. Call them out. I don't give a I like calling out specific examples of bad behavior. I like it when people can actually show what they're talking about as being real. 1 second. Let me heal all these boys before we go into fight Lance. I think that should be good. Ooh, boy. Let me just save super quick. Wait, why don't I just do, what is it? Shift F1? Yeah. The whole Haiti cat thing is done because it was mentioned in headlines a few days before the debate, and Trump was referring to that. But why? Why not refer to all the true stories of citizens being killed, stabbed, etc. by immigrants? Well, that's because, number one, there's just not enough stories of that actually happening, of the true stories of citizens being killed by immigrants. Like, statistically speaking, immigrants, whether illegal or legal, are less likely to commit crimes than someone who is a native-born citizen. That's not to say that it's a good thing or that we should tolerate that or anything like that, but that's just a fact that we have to contend with, and then we can have that conversation after we get through the true facts of it, right? I'm writing a letter to Notre Dame to get them to change their mascot. Not all of us from Irish descent get drunk and fight. True, based. We should be... Listen, nobody cares about Notre Dame anymore, all right? That one movie, the one football movie happened, Rudy, and now they got nothing, all right?
issue and you smear an entire community with it, and which was not even true. It's just a lie.
Yes, it's not true.
I mean,
At least as
that's
far as we
like
know.
textbook racism. And yeah, the term gets thrown around but sometimes it applies, and it applies pretty clearly here. So, you know, to wrap up, and perhaps since we are going to talk to Zed about this as well, and we got to get on to the rest of the show, and we're going to have more conversations about immigration, et cetera, which I know you all appreciate, and I enjoy exchanging with you on this as well. But to wrap it up, the reason that I think this is a clear political fail, the whole pet thing is a clear political fail for Trump, is I just don't think that Americans are this racist. I just don't. I think that they see this as disgusting. I think we have the polling that shows they know that it's not true. They know that it's a lie. People don't like being lied to either. And
1 second. I read a variety of news sources, and it certainly has been true more than a few times. Well, I mean, like, law of large numbers, yeah, you're going to find some, but like, it's about finding something that's happening, and it's a big enough issue that we need to address it in a way that we're not already addressing it, right? In terms of like the crime or any kind of like violent crime from illegal immigrants, I mean, we have police, and we're taking care of those things in the way that we know how to, and it's not a big enough issue to where we need to like change course on immigrant crime, because it's just not happening at a high enough level for us to change course. We're taking care of that, right? Aren't all illegal immigrants criminals by definition? We need to look back into that, because we had a debate a couple of weeks ago where crossing the border illegally is a civil offense, but sometimes it's a criminal offense. It depends, right? But no, not necessarily. And also, when we're talking about criminals, we're usually not talking about, I mean, jaywalking is technically illegal, right? It's a civil offense, right? That would land you a fine if anybody gave a but just because someone has broken a law, like just because someone is like sped, doesn't mean that we should, refer to them as like a criminal, right? When you use the word criminal, people think violent criminal, someone stole, someone killed, someone blah, 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 blah. So are all illegals immigrants criminals by definition? No, for the reason that I laid out, but also for the second reason, like when you use that language, you're like implying that they've done something heinous. But like crossing the border is not that big of a deal. I'm not a like totally open borders person. I don't think that anybody in the same area that I'm in terms of like politics, that being like central, like centrist lib, I don't think that there's any like elected officials that are like, oh, we should just open our borders and like there shouldn't be any vetting for anyone coming over whatsoever. It's about like finding what the actual root issue is, which in my opinion, and I think in a lot of immigration experts' opinions, is, hey, we have a major problem with our asylum application process. It is way too easy to apply for asylum, and then we can't really do anything about it. We have to get them to go through the asylum process, right? So like we could change the way people apply for asylum, and we could change the way that we process asylum claims, which is what was in that bill that Donald Trump shot down in, what was it, March or April or something like that? Like that was on the table for the first time ever. Oh my God. It was actually something that would have addressed the actual policy that attracts people to try and come over here and apply for asylum. And they shut it down. Like we have a solution, man. We have a solution. But like it's so aggravating because like instead of having, we can't have real conversations anymore, right? We're just incapable of it because when we see an actual issue and we identify the actual issue, we should have that conversation. But instead we're having conversations about walls, and we're talking about deporting 1 billion people, and we're talking about, you know, all these things that are, what's the word I'm looking for? Things that are reacting to the issue instead of addressing the issue head on. Like, I'm not even going so far as to like, and not that I disagree with it, but like our main focus shouldn't be like some lefties say, like, well, we should just fix those other countries that we've up, blah, 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 and then people will feel less inclined to come over here. Like, should we do that? Yeah, that would probably alleviate a lot of the immigration pressures that they have leaving their country. I mean, like her or not, Kamala Harris was successful at that with her border. She wasn't the border czar, but everyone calls her the border czar for the job that she had, which was talking to the Golden Triangle or something like that, Northern Triangle, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua. Oh, that's 3, triangle. Like she was able to reduce the amount of immigration coming from those places by up to 50% from one of the countries, 30% from another one, and I think like 40 something from the third. I don't remember which is which. But like we can do that. We can do multiple things, right? We have the most money in the entire world. We can simultaneously try and reduce the pressures for people to come over here from their countries by helping them invest in their countries and giving them jobs so they don't feel the need to come over here and get jobs. And then we can also fix the way that we have people apply for asylum in our country, which is, once you're on American soil and you turn yourself in and say, I'm claiming asylum, like we can have ways to actually deal with that and change the way that we go about our immigration policy when it comes to asylum seekers. But Republicans don't want to do that. And it's mind-boggling because that's what the issue is. Like, we can see the massive spike in immigration happened, I think, starting with Obama, because they changed the way that we did asylum applications. And once they figured that out, once people from south of the border and all these other countries figured that out, they're like, oh, yo, let's go fucking apply for asylum in America. This place sucks. And that's really good. And then they came over here and now here we are. But nobody wants to reverse that immigration policy. And it's crazy. Sorry, I haven't been reading chat. But I'll read chat now, and then we'll finish the video, and then, yeah. Criminal sounds like a career. Having committed a crime doesn't sound so bad. Yeah, exactly. What's your solution to the millions of people in the country? Well, I kind of laid everything out that, but if you... Did I answer that question, or do you want me to like go more in detail? Asylum from Nicaragua is hilarious considering the amount of countries that they went through to get here. Well, I think that it was the the Biden administration that changed one of our policies on the asylum process. It had to be done through executive order. But it was like you have to apply for asylum at the next country, right? And if you're turned away, then you can go to the next one. And I think that was implemented this year or late last year or some shit like that. I can't remember off the top of my head. But like there are solutions and there are things that we can talk about, and you know, it's just that the Republicans right now, they are not wanting to have that conversation. Instead, they're so mad about the fact that there is so much immigration that they're just like, oh well, we should just like go the punishment route and go Judge Dredd and start kicking in doors. It's like, well, that's not going to help with more people coming over here. If you want to help with more people coming over here, guess what? You're gonna have to change the asylum seeking law. That's how you're gonna have to do it. Check the top comment of the video and then read a bit of this. Sound familiar with what Sagar said? Well, let me finish the video and then we'll.
So, you know, whatever valid concerns there are about immigration, sure, fine. You're actually undercutting your position on that by front-loading with just like this explicitly racist, neo-Nazi-backed lie.
Without taking your words, I will say I think it's a mistake to generally wager our whole reputation on this whole Haitian thing. I'd much rather have a lot of the talk that I just gave around demographics and management and all of that. But, you know, at the same time, listen, I mean, they're the ones who got themselves elected. Maybe they know something that I don't. I'm not Pollyanna to believe that everybody thinks about these things the way that I do, or the, you know, the so-called better angels. I think a lot of that is fake, to be honest. And so we'll find out on the ballot box something that I don't. I'm not Pollyanna to believe that everybody thinks about these things the way that I do, or the, you know, the so-called better angels. I think a lot of that is fake, to be honest. And so we'll find out on the ballot box. And if they win, I'm stupid. I think it's a mistake to generally wager our whole reputation on this whole Haitian thing. I'd much rather have a lot of the talk that I just gave around demographics and management and all of that. But, you know, at the same time, listen, I mean, they're the ones who...
Well, the problem is, like, the U.S. is exceptionally good, like, better than literally any other country in the history of humankind in so many ways, because I love my goddamn country. But one of the things that we do exceptionally well is integrate people into our country and into our culture very, very easily. We have a very easy time with that, where other European countries or European or white dominant or whatever however you want to go about it, like, they're just not good at it in the way that we are. Sorry, it's just the truth.
Who got themselves elected. Maybe they know something that I don't. I'm not Pollyanna to believe that everybody thinks about these things the way that...
What are the words that he's saying? I do not understand the words that he's saying. 1 second. Go back. Let me pull up the closed captions. What the are you saying?
Know something that I don't. I'm not Pollyannish to believe that everybody thinks about...
What does that mean? Pollyannish?
These things the way that I do, or the, you know, the so-called better angels. I think a lot of that is fake, to be honest.
I don't know what that is.
And so we'll find out on the ballot box. And if they win, I actually do think a lot of it is, basically all of it will come back to immigration. And if that's true, then I think liberals should ask themselves a lot of questions. Now, if they lose too, we should also talk a lot about the way that when you can be on a winning side of an issue and how you screw that up. And there's probably a lot of evidence here if they lose the election. And I would hope that they take that away if they do lose. But knowing them, that's certainly not
on the table.
Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
Cool. Okay, get rid of that. We read that. We're good on that. We saw that. I'm probably not going to get to watch that today. We're good here. Good here. We're good here. I need that for my own purposes. Really quick, if you guys just found my channel or if this is your first time here, please consider following and consider donating. Here is 2 quick links for you guys. I'll put it into both chats here. Here we go. Donate right there, or subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, or if you're watching on Twitch, you can use the follow or the subscribe thing on Twitch, follow or subscribe on YouTube. All these things are very helpful. Here is the donate link for you guys over on YouTube. I am, as of today, finally employed finally, Jesus Christ. But it still will be 2 weeks before I get any money from a paycheck from my now gainful employment. So if you guys want to help me, that's a great way to help me. All right, let's see here. Yes, it was it's been a long job hunt after moving, but I'm finally, thank God. I am a tutor again. I used to work as a teacher and I needed something. So, hey, Tron, thank you for the sub. Amazing. Woo. Woo. But yeah, no, I'm going to be working as a tutor. I was hoping to get like a more, a bigger role as like a teacher, but this guy he's hiring me for a higher position that I applied for. So I mean, like, woo, let's go. Let me see here. Oh yeah, that's right. Sorry, I totally closed it and I forgot to look at the top message. Let me open it back up. And then you told me to.
Harry Anton was pointing out over on CNN. Actually, the biggest search.
Okay, the top comment. Most people who are interested in politics are stupid and weird. Sagar, I feel personally attacked here, bro. I don't think that we're looking at the same top comment. Irish immigrant stereotypes and American racism. I don't need to read this, okay? I think we know, like, he's trying to defend the idea that, like, you can be racist towards the Haitian immigrants and say that they're eating dogs and cats and shit like that. But what do I tutor? Anything. If the universe is expanding, what is it expanding into? Brother, I don't know all about physics or astronomy. Astrology is the bad one. I don't know all about it, okay? It's expanding into more of itself, I guess. I know a little bit about a lot, but I don't know a lot about that. Never mind. Okay, really quick. Are there any... I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to be streaming for because my girlfriend does want to spend some time with me. Just a few sentences? Okay. The most recently discovered wild beast, 1881, is one of a series of 19th century images portraying the Irish as violent and subhuman. Jesus Christ. What the Man, people get so creative with how they're racist, don't they? The gap between things is how it was explained to me. About what? Sorry, I'm completely unmedicated, so staying on one topic is very difficult for me, okay? It's very difficult for me right now. But now I have a job. I can get my 5 ants. Oh, the universe, the gap between things. If you want to get all philosophical, sure, it's the gap between things. I don't know, and it's not something that really bothers me that much. When you talk about like the existential, like I've had my existential crisis after going into my big philosophy kick on stream like 2-3 years ago. I had a full break from reality. I was like totally incapacitated by existential dread. And I just learned to be okay with not knowing some things. You know? There's a drinking point he brought up here. Oh, let's see what that is. I'm sorry, I don't care enough. Okay? I just don't care enough. Okay. We'll look at this for as long as I can stand it, and then we're going to have to end stream. So if you guys have any suggestions for who we should raid, please do. And once again, I'm going to do another shill because I hate shilling, but I have to do it. If you guys enjoy my content, please follow, please like, etc., etc., etc. I'm going to be... Oh yeah, I forgot to say this. Because I am now gainfully employed, we're going to have to look at a different streaming time than I am starting now. Because I usually start around like 3, 4, 5-ish on a normal day. You know, sometime afternoon. But I might need to start doing morning streams. I might need, like, we're going to have to figure that out as we go because I'm pretty sure, I don't have my schedule yet, but I'm pretty sure that I'm going to have to start work at 2:30, and then I'm pretty sure it's going to go until like 6. So, all right. I asked Stephen Miller, one of Donald Trump's top advisors, what is the evidence for saying that Caracas and Venezuela are safer than the United States? He began by answering that it's the government's numbers. I asked him if he trusted Maduro's numbers, and this was his reaction.
What will happen?
Morning streams work perfect for me. Hey, my guy, let's go. Although, listen, I'm going to give you a warning, all right? I am a liberal cuckold. I'm a center-left, all right? I'm center-left. I can understand where people are coming from sometimes, but I'm a political science student trying to finish my degree. I know a lot about, political issues. I read a lot of different things. I'm totally fine if you guys are conservative, if you guys are leftist, if you guys are liberal. I'm fine with anybody in my chat. But sometimes I do get frustrated, and I will yell at you at some point, all right? I yell at people that are my mods who have been here watching me for 5 years, okay? So, like, you'll get used to the dynamic, but I'm usually pretty chill, all right? As long as you're not just negging me and saying stupid shit constantly in my chat to get a reaction from me, you'll probably be fine. I get animated. I'm animated. I got hot blood, So, okay, let's see what Stephen Miller says. Isn't this guy like a total nut job too? You can't hurt my feelings. Listen, now you're like challenging me. All right. I'm about to bust out so many subhuman insults.
All these all these criminal migrants that have been flooded in the country are going to be the first to get thrown out of here. I mean, you've seen case after case, these heartbreaking tragedies. Those ones are going to get found and deported.
Bro, let me tell you something. If I ever go bald, it's really hard. I do know that if I ever started going bald, I'd either shave it all off or I'd start doing Rogaine like crazy, right? What I don't know is if I just shaved it all off, would I do what this guy is doing and like polish the top of my head, right? Would I polish the top of my head, be a cue ball over here? That is a fashion style I don't understand. Does it look better if your head is shiny and you can see the reflection of the lights, the ceiling lights on your head? I've never understood that. Does it serve a functional purpose or is it an aesthetic choice? I don't get it.
I mean, you've seen case after case, these heartbreaking tragedies. Those ones are going to get found and deported first. And look at this Venezuelan gang. You have a Venezuelan gang that is taking over entire apartment buildings in Aurora, Colorado. And that's responsible, by the way, for some of the most heinous crimes.
I'm going to have to look into that. Someone remind me next stream, which might be tomorrow, might be the next day. We'll have to see. But someone's going to need to remind me to look at the Venezuelan, Colorado, whatever the
have happened all over the United States. The crime rate in Venezuela is down, I believe, a little bit over 60% over the last several years.
Are you trusting the official figures from the Venezuelan dictatorship?
Let's put it this way. If you're a dictator of a poor country with a high crime rate, wouldn't you send your criminals to our open border?
That wasn't my question. Are you trusting the figures of the dictatorships?
Sorry, I saw Hulk Hogan's hairstyle, and I immediately started trying to picture what Hulk Hogan's head looks like. But now I got to see what his response was again.
Crimes that have happened all over the United States. The crime rate in Venezuela is down, I believe, a little bit over 60% over the last several years.
Are you trusting the official figures from the Venezuelan dictatorship?
Let's put it this way. If you're a dictator of a poor country with a high crime rate, wouldn't you send your criminals to our open border?
That wasn't my question. Are you trusting the figures of the dictatorships? Those are Maduro numbers.
I am believing that it is.
Damn, all of them are going after him now. He asked a really good question, and now they're like, wait, hold on. Answer his question. I had a question, but I'm not going to answer. You, please, answer that question for me. I want to know the answer to that one.
Criminal dictator to let his criminals out of their jails and come to our country.
Do you have numbers, real numbers, not dictatorship numbers?
The Venezuelan gangs that have, you've seen the CCTV footage. I have a question. Who do you think? Answer me this.
My family is from Venezuela. I know very well the situation of Caracas and many other cities.
Right, tell me, who were the people with the high-powered rifles in the hallway of that apartment building? Who were they?
They were gangsters from Venezuela.
Right. No American community.
But I was asking to you about figures, numbers,
what I'm
facts.
saying to you is the facts are the dead bodies. The facts are...
You said that Caracas has the lowest crime rate than the USA.
The facts are the mutilated...
He's ugly
the facts
smiling.
are the people in the morgues that are dead.
I was asking you about Caracas and the numbers in Caracas. Are you trusting the numbers of the dictatorship
I am
to state
trusting the fact that Kamala Harris
Oh my
is
God, he's
letting
yelling.
immigrants into this country who are raping and murdering children.
I had been very respectful. Why are you yelling?
Do you know who Jocelyn Ungary is? Do you know who she is?
Do you know how
Tell me
many
who she
people
Who
is
she?
experiencing
Who is
violence
she?
in Caracas?
Who is she? Who is Laken Riley?
Why
Who
are you
is
yelling
she?
again?
Because I'm yelling because children are being and murdered.
I was just
by
asking for
illegal
figures,
immigrants.
and you have not replied to me about those
And
figures.
murdered. Do you know who Kayla
Do
Hamilton
you trust
is?
the numbers of
Do you know
Nicolas
her
Maduro?
story?
I'm asking
I
again.
trust a ruthless dictator will empty his prisons and send their criminals to our country.
So you trust his numbers?
The most dangerous gang in Venezuela is
You
now
trust Nicolas Maduro?
I trust that he does not want his criminals to be...
So you believe in his numbers?
I believe he's sending his criminals to our country.
And do you think that the crime rate in Venezuela have
Do you
decreased?
not believe the law enforcement reports of Venezuelan gangs in this country?
I was asking for the Venezuelan government figures, not the figures here.
Or not? Are Venezuelan gangs in this country or not? Yes or no?
What
yes or
are
no?
the figures
yes or no?
that you
yes
say
or no?
to say
yes
that
or no?
in Caracas
yes or
the
no?
number is
Are
lower than in the
Venezuelan
USA?
Gangs, are Venezuelan gangs in this country or not?
So you don't have numbers.
Are Venezuela? You know who has numbers? The Department of Homeland Security. You can ask Mayorkas for numbers. You can ask the Director Ray for the numbers.
Sir.
I'm telling you.
I'm pretty sure if you look at like our crime stats, illegal immigrants and legal immigrants and people who are under temporary protected status, they commit crimes at a significantly lower rate. Bro, he's losing it, dude. He's about to walk away, I bet.
Are Venezuelan gangs in this country or not?
So you don't have numbers.
Are Venezuela? You know who has numbers? The Department of Homeland Security. You can ask Mayorkas for numbers. You can ask the Director Ray for the numbers.
Sir,
I'm telling you.
you said
think
that in
Nicolas
Venezuela
Maduro-
the crime rate is lower than the
Because-
USA.
Yes, because the
What are
criminals
your
are
numbers?
here
That's
now.
my question.
Because the criminals are here now.
Those are Maduro's numbers.
I can tell you again that Border Patrol agents are encountering thousands
trust
of gang
Maduro
members.
numbers?
I trust the border agents in our country.
But
and
they
I
are
hope
not
that
saying
you
that
have the
Caracas has a
fundamental-
lower crime rate.
Children are dead, and you are wasting my time.
No, I am not wasting your
Children are being
time.
raped.
I'm asking
Do you
for
have
facts
any
as a
remorse for
journalist.
do you have any remorse for the dead children? Do you care at all about the dead children?
Absolutely.
Then that's what I want to leave you with, is that Donald Trump will
was
come
just
to
asking
office.
for figures.
Here's what's going to happen. Donald Trump is going to be elected president, and the migrant gangs are going to be sent home. Children's lives will be saved. And you know who will benefit the most? Are the working class Hispanic communities that are besieged by gang violence.
So you don't have figures.
Public schools that are being taken by migrant gangs. You have Emma Stewart.
Dude, he's just negging him, dude. He's just negging him as he's, I bet you have no numbers. Oh, I bet you have no numbers. Oh, it's so good. God, I love this guy.
Team that is brutalizing children. You have Kayla Hamilton, who was a 20-year-old autistic girl who was and murdered, beaten to death. That will end. That will stop, and our children's lives will be saved. That is the most virtuous thing that can possibly be done. We are going to save the lives of our children. We will not let Kamala Harris condemn them to a life of misery, suffering, and death. Thank you.
I have not replied my question.
No. See, yeah, he's balding, but he's already bald. Well, he mauled all of the hair away. Here are the facts. The Venezuela Violence Observatory, not Maduro's government, registered 26.8 violent deaths per 100,000 in 2023. In the USA, the homicide rate is 6.3 per 100,000 population. It is true that Venezuela's homicide rate has decreased. However, it is false that it is safer than the United States. I'll follow this guy. This guy's a little bit based. Okay, this guy's a little bit based. It's so man. I liked how he. There was one point.
Benefit the most are the work.
Where's the part where he was just like smugly smiling after he asked the question of like 40th time?
I was asking for the Venezuelan government figures, not the figures here.
Or not? Are Venezuelan gangs in this country or not? Yes or no?
What
yes or
are
no?
the figures
yes or no?
that you
yes
say
or no?
to say
yes
that
or,
in Caracas
yes or
the
no?
number is
Are
lower than in the
Venezuelan
USA?
Gangs, are Venezuelan gangs in this country or not?
So you don't have numbers.
Are Venezuela? You know who has numbers? The Department of Homeland Security.
I can't
Trust.
find it.
Being very respectful. Why are you yelling?
Do you know who Jocelyn Ungary is? Do you know who she is?
Do you know how
Tell me
many
who she is.
people?
Okay, but it's so funny. Okay. Let's see here. Twitch. Who's live right now? You know who we're going to raid into? Oh, well, we'll raid into Resivair. So you guys get all of the entertainment value, okay? It's all about entertainment value. /raid at res. Oh, wait. Resivair. All right. Listen, I should be back tomorrow. If I'm not, then we will be streaming on... Oh, he's disabled raids, so we're going to raid into... Oh my god, everybody's turned off raids. Why? What's his name? Hutch. All right, everyone, pile in, pile in, pile in. All right, make a good impression on Hutch. All right, I love you guys very much. It's been a very fun stream. All right, when you guys go over there, if you guys are subbed, hit them with a couple of these bad boys. Hit them with a couple of these bad boys. And I will see you guys either tomorrow or the next day.